What is up, everybody? I see y'all are already in the comments. It is crazy. It's madness. The G.I. Joe HasLab has been officially revealed. We speculated on a whole bunch of things. We had the Dragonfly, we had the Snowcat, the Mobat, the Mauler, and it finally came time for the big reveal, and it was the Dragonfly. And oh my goodness, wow, this thing is crazy. It's so ridiculous, and I just can't wait to talk about it with you all. Y'all are already here live and in the chat. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this. But before I get forward any further, let me make sure to give a big shout out to all of you super supporters. Thank you so much for your support of this channel. It makes everything so worthwhile. Now let's get into this helicopter, the Dragonfly. I think we all had a lot of suspicion. It was starting to trend a little bit more to the Dragonfly as we were getting closer to today's big reveal. And let's just take a look at this thing. I am so amazed at what they put together with this. The Dragonfly in all of its glory. I mean, this thing looks crazy. All this detail. And there's so much that I love about this. We have the Dragonfly and it's massive. I mean, seeing it in hand was crazy. And then it comes with all these effect pieces. And of course, that really cool Wild Bill, the stand. So much to be excited about with this thing. And let me do this so you all can actually see what I'm talking about this time. There we go. But just this thing is amazing. All this great stuff. Fully scaled Dragonfly. You see how he looks next to Wild Bill. I mean, none of us had the His tank yet, but just seeing these two on our shelf is going to be wild. And all of these armaments, the machine guns, the missiles, the exhaust fumes, the fire effects, everything on here is crazy. And that price tag is amazing too. Let's see what you guys think about this before. Now let's see here. This thing has been moving at an exceptionally ridiculous rate too. I think everyone has been looking forward to this, and I love what we're seeing here with Hasbro actually kind of paying attention, kind of reading the tea leaves, if you will, gauging and reading the room. You know, the His tank was $299, but they were like, we don't need to go 301. We don't need to do that Price is Right deal. We're going to charge $1 more for this just so you can keep paying more for each and every HasLab. I love that they decided, let's keep the price down because we're not doing the same amount of plastic as we did with the His tank. They're giving us so much more in this initial offering. I just feel like it's a huge win. Let's see what you guys are thinking so far. Sundown Studios. I've already backed one and contemplating on getting another. I feel you. I mean, I wish I had a massive basement room where I could just put my entire collection out, but this is crazy. Blake, wow, over 6,600 backers, and it's only been half a day. Bet that goes to more than 30K. Well, let's see right now what this thing is, because it is just, the numbers on this are wild. Yeah, right now it is at 7,520 of the required 10,000. I feel like maybe by the time we're done, it's going to hit 10,000. This thing is rolling at a crazy rate. Doc Avenger. Yeah, me too. I do wish they had done an early bird special with a green shirt mechanic with toolbox and an extra helmeted head to make it an army builder. And I might have gone for 3. And I think what was really interesting, I feel like Hasbro really learned some lessons with this HasLab. Like the G.I. Joe Classified Series, the brand hasn't been doing a lot of HasLabs. The His tank was a phenomenal success. But I think they've read and kind of paid attention to how the other Hasbro brands have done with the HasLabs. And they took some cues from it. They decided we don't need a Robbie fiasco and do an early bird that's going to sink the whole thing. Like they have made Airborne, for example, the early bird, and he didn't get funded. Fat chance with this, but they decided we're not doing with the early bird. I am hoping that because of this phenomenal rate that this is getting funded, that they add another tier at the back end. So maybe 20,000, we get another one, or 22,000 at this rate. Doc Avenger probably would have funded before they finished their pitch. I feel like it is so amazing how fast this is going. The His tank went up to 5,000 in its first 6 hours, and this has long exceeded that. S-Rod, what's going on? Hasbro's Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe, and Transformers are killing it as of late. Even those Indiana Jones figures are awesome. Not the Dungeons and Dragons figure, though. Those suck bad, really bad. You know, they didn't get a chance to retail because it put out right so soon before the movie, and then people who liked the movie were like, yeah, whatever. Then they were clearance out really soon after that. So it did not work out really well for him. Drew 914, the Dragonfly looks amazing. Yes, exactly. So I pull this out here, and this is my not quite real American hero, but this is a Tomahawk, I think, from the Valor versus Venom era. And this thing is really great. I love what they did with this for this era. You can open this up so you can see my boy Wild Bill in the cockpit with his 6 shooters there. But this thing was loaded, and I thought they did so much with this. It has a little trigger here. You pull this, and it actually moves the rotors. I don't know if you guys can see that light up here. It's got a little sound effects. This is really cool. And looking at this HasLab Dragonfly, I feel like they incorporated so many things on this 3/4 inch vehicle onto this amazing 6-inch scale. So let's see what else you guys talking about. What's up, Kidred 1998? I think the other 2 unlockables for the Dragonfly are 1 female G.I. Joe pilot with 2 swappable heads. That would be cool. Same for a male co-pilot. And they might add a 4-figure I could do with the HISS tank. That would be a good idea. Let's see what they do. Like they did with the HISS tank. Yeah, I can see that. What up, Frustrated Fans Sports Show? The family's doing great right now. I think everybody's really excited and happy about this. Bobby Eldridge wants to know how many have already backed the Dragonfly. I feel like probably a good amount of you all from the way this sucker's rolling. 80s kids from the 90s. My dog passed away Saturday. Very sorry to hear that. I know how it is to lose a dog, especially if you had him for a long time. David Burnett's already backed it. Ski Raiders in the house. So is Afton Child. Mason Carroll wants to know when is the next Marvel Legends fan stream. Let's see here. So there's supposed to be let me just see if I can pull this up super fast for you. There's a drop zone from Entertainment Earth, and it's telling us when they're having all these reveals for the different brands. The next one looks like it might be Wednesday. So it's the tease is we're waiting for something marvelous, and we might just get it, but we can't say what it is yet. So maybe tomorrow we'll see some news on a pre-order for Marvel Legends. Not a live stream to answer your question, but definitely something coming. And then there's going to be a Marvel Legends Tuesday pre-order for June 27th. So maybe we'll have a live stream and it won't just be dominated by the G.I. Joe Yojo June. Robert's Infinite Realms. I was surprised the price wasn't higher than the HISS. I feel like that's the big win for this. And we've seen with so many of these crowdfunding efforts where it just keeps going and going. And I think, I don't want to beat on that dead horse, but I feel like that was a problem with the Engine of Vengeance. It was too much. And it felt like Hasbro's Marvel Legends team was like, it's got to be around the same price as the Sentinel and Galactus, but it didn't need to. And I think if you see what they've done with the Transformers brand, they don't go crazy. They don't go wild with the pricing of their HasLabs. They go with something that's reasonable, so it'll fund quickly, because I think in a lot of cases, especially with a brand like G.I. Joe, there's army building potential for people who have space and the means to build and buy more than one HISS tank, more than one Dragonfly. And if it's $399, people are going to be like, I just want one. But because it's a more affordable, more reasonable price tag, people are like, well, shoot, I'll go ahead and get 2, 3, 5, whatever the max is for it. So I think that's what the key is, showing some flexibility, showing the ability to not just keep a price tag going up, but lowering it as necessary. I think that's really driven the success of this thing. Devin, you're asking about the Dragonfly. It's $275. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. I'm not going to lie, I was really hoping for a Snowcat, and I'm always going to support you, bro. Listen, I feel quite supportive of this Dragonfly. Wild Bill, of course, is one of my old school favorite Joes. The Dragonfly, I feel like a lot of us was one of our first big major vehicles. We had the Mobat, we had the Vamp, and then after that next series, it was like, I want the Dragonfly, I want the Sky Striker. So for a lot of us, this is a quintessential essential vehicle for our G.I. Joe collection. But now that they've done this and they've shown, hey, we can shrink the price down a little bit more, maybe this opens up for larger scale vehicles, because clearly there's a market for the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series fandom out there, where it's like, you deliver quality products, we're going to buy it, we're going to support it, and not just limp it over to the finish line. So I think this enthusiasm has to be encouraging and a really major win for the Joe brand team, because they're seeing all their hard work, all their efforts pay off, because we're so excited. Rhino 4563, let's go, Joe. Absolutely. Exotic Carfax official channel knew this was coming. I'm glad you did. I was just hyped and excited to see it. So, there were so many things on here, so many ideas, and I really felt like we could not lose with anything that they revealed. But I think the hugest thing for us was keeping that price minimal and reducing it so it's not feeling like, we got so much stuff. Let's go 10,024 hours. I don't think it might take that long. It may be 12 hours at this rate. It's going wild. Mr. Cheeseburger. It's not the vamp, but it's better. The price is great. The 4 figures is going to come with. The price is great. Okay. Batwing was 250, no figures. This is a great deal. Yes, it is a fantastic deal for everything we're getting. Let's take another look at all this cool stuff we're getting with this Dragonfly, because it absolutely needs to be broken down in full measure here. So we're getting this stand, which I think is such a cool addition. We're getting this stand, and it's just great because it hoists up the Dragonfly so you can put it on your display without having to worry about what the heck I'm going to do, where I'm going to put it on the shelf. And apparently it's angled 2 different ways, so you can have it with this slope down thing, like it's coming down at your instincts, or you can level it out and have it coming like it's flying out a little bit better. That's really cool. That's a nice touch. Then we got this amazing shot here with all of the missiles, the flumes from the flame exhaust, different colors. I really love that. And then the machine guns blaring as well. It's so cool to just see this thing come together like that. And all the cool stuff, including this light up panel. That's a nice touch. I don't always feel like we need light ups in our action figures, especially vehicles nowadays, because it just jacks up the price. But I think this is really cool, and it'll show up pretty well against different colors, because that looks like it'll be a very strong shade of green coming through. So here, let's take a look at this all on its own, how big this thing looks. 34 inches wide. That is crazy. Over 2.5 feet long. So make sure you're clearing away space. And this is our guy, Wild Bill. He looks tremendous. I mean, check out all this detail. He's got the gloves like he's coming through the cavalry. I really like that. His belt buckles done there just perfect. Got his name tag. Still rocking the butterfly shoulders. This looks like a whole new sculpt here. We haven't seen this body as far as I can recall. Different knee pads, longer flared out pants. Looks like he's rocking some cowboy boots too. I think that's really great. The head sculpt is great. He doesn't look old. I feel like sometimes head sculpts of Wild Bill can get a little dicey, makes him look like he is actually a Civil War relic, but this one makes him look young-ish, and he's got the shades. He's got the big hat, the 10-gallon hat. He's got his knife, his 6 shooters, which are really nicely done as well. Then we've got his trademark vest, and got the walkie-talkie here, and everything plugs right in. He's got this holster with where you can put those guns in there inside. I love what they did with him. And Blake, it's at 7,500 backers now. Yeah, I love this part. I love this time of year when we're going through and seeing all these crowdfunding projects and seeing how fast or how slow they're moving. And this one has been so much fun to watch because, like a lot of you all that was watching the live stream, it's like this thing is actually hitting 2,000 before they're even done hyping it up and trying to convince us to buy it. It's like so many of us are like, nope, we need it now. You don't need to say anything else. Bobby Eldridge. The price was reasonable. I feel like that was so huge with this because, we're seeing figures get up to $25. And then if you factor in Wild Bill, because he's not free, then that takes the price of the Dragonfly down to $250, which is what I was like in my wildest dream, just hoping that would be the price of this thing. But $275 for it is pretty good. And I feel like we're getting a whole lot compared to what we got with the Hiss. Ski Raider, it's fire. Thanks for keeping our favorite line with some act right. The feedback helped keep the price good. Yeah, I think that was a huge deal, big win for everybody. Let's take a look because you mentioned that price tag, and I think this is really key and really important. So let's take a look at what we've seen from some other Hasbro lines like this Slave One. I'm going to just continue to call it. You know what I'm talking about. This was $200. This is for the 3.75-inch vintage collection Star Wars line. So that's wild considering what you get with the Dragonfly versus what you're getting here. And not to say it's got 2 big minds. The detail on this Slave One is really cool. It's got the flight stand too. I don't remember what this was, but we got the more modern take of Boba Fett. That's all we get I'm saying all, but I mean the difference between a vintage collection vehicle and a massive 6-inch scale vehicle is crazy. There's no blast effects here. This is considering what we're getting with this. There we go. All of this great information, all these accessories. It's wild to see the difference between this. And now let's take a look back at his tank and what we got just for the original tier with the his tank. Not nearly as much stuff when you break it down. You take a look at what we got. We got the his tank driver. He looks really cool. He's got removable, swappable hands. He's got a blaster and another large scale rifle. And the his tank itself is really, really well done. It's got those tread on the tires. It's big, it's massive, tons of light up detail. But then when you take a look at all the stuff you're getting, you have to go down to the tiers before you're getting the things that they just threw in with no problem right away with the Dragonfly. So let's break down all these tiers they got for us, because you have to slow down for a minute just to get all this stuff. Here's the early bird, his engineer. So that was, or his tactician. We got to choose one. So that was cool. But then let's look at the tiers. This was the first tier, and this was the 10,000 backer mark. So we got 2 missile racks. And I know a lot of you, including me, were upset that that's all we got for the first tier. I think we've been kind of reared to think that, hey, tiers are figures. So just to get some missiles is like, okay, but where are the extra figures? And then the second one at, where were we here for this one? 12,000 backers was just retro his canopy and retro armor plated tread skirts. Like, okay, that's cool, but that's still not exactly a big deal. And then it took to the third upgrade, the third tier, before we got a weapons pack and a his gunner. So this one felt a little bit more significant. We got 2 guns, an undercarriage blaster, and then the his gunner. And then we got the retro Cobra Commander, and he came in, and was he again? 16,000. And this was the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. So that was not really a lot when you consider what we're getting straight up the bat with this Dragonfly. There's so much stuff that comes right away. There's no, oh, we got to wait to get this piece. We got to get this. It's all coming right away. I love that there's no buildup. There's no, here's a little extra tier just for accessories. We're getting all of that right to start. And I love that that's how they're approaching this thing. It's no like, we'll build it up. No, it's everything that you want for this right away. Now let's take another look real fast of all the stuff we're getting with this his tank just to start. It's really impressive. So here is, we've got all these missile racks. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We got some machine gun parts that you can just blast away. Then we've also got some more effect fire pieces, of course, Wild Bill. I mean, everything that you would use to really kit up your Dragonfly that last time would have been tiers and extras, maybe even a stand would have been a separate piece. It's all included. And I feel like that's wild that we got that right away. There's no like, oh man, if we get to the next tier, this is what we get. It's just everything's laid out right there for us. Let's see what else you guys are thinking about this. Sean Forrester, what's going on, man? I think this is about perfect. I placed my order for 1. Nice. The price went down, but the backer MOQ went up from 8,000 to 10,000. Yeah, and I think that's smart because clearly there's an interest. I mean, you take a look at the his tank, it was not exactly struggling to get funded. It went through so quickly, so fast that I think Hasbro said, hey, there's clearly a demand. The fans of the Classified series have spoken, and we'll be okay going a little bit more, being a little bit more optimistic. So remember that original his tank backing original tier just to get it funded was 8,000. And then it went all the way up to 26,772 backers, which was crazy. And it didn't take long at all. It was like there was this dead period of about 2 weeks because every tier had been funded so fast. So I think what I'm hoping to see is that Hasbro's got another tier in their back pocket, maybe an army builder, maybe a variant of Snake Eyes. I would love to see Snake Eyes, like a retro version of Snake Eyes and a Quinn. Now this is a deep dive for people who didn't read the comic books, but after Quinn gets killed, he's wrapped up in bandages and wrapped up in his kayak, and then it's attached to the Dragonfly, so Snake Eyes and Wild Bill can bury him and put his machine gun. I'm going deep with that. I think that would be such a cool extra incentive, like the last final tier, but that would be something that would really mark me out. Huge for that. All right, let's see here. Exotic Car Facts official channel. The fans spoke, and Hasbro's learned a lesson. Engine Avengers no more. Fly, Dragon, fly. Yeah, it's going hard. After them, child. I may be picking up, and I'm trying to save up money for Hot Toys. Ripley from Alien. Oh, good luck with that, because yeah, they would get me hard with Ripley and that crew. Kelly Cox is going on. Sorry to be the pessimistic, but I'm missing the early bird. You are. I feel like this is okay in this case because I think we win either way. And like I said, there's so much time, and this is rolling at such a quick rate that I think that they're going to go. We don't need another dud period where there's weeks and weeks where this is funded, especially if it gets funded tonight. That, it's going to be like, all right, well, what's the next tier? We know we've got Ripcord Night Force version coming up, and I'm not as excited about him as our tier. I was kind of hoping, kind of expecting to see my guy Airborne. I thought he was the obvious choice for that. But let's take a look here and just break down all these extras that we're getting and the extra tiers when we get them, because that's not going to take a very long time. So we got the working rotor blades. Just want to show this video because I thought this was cool. Now, this is not as cool as my handheld one, but you just swirl it around and that's all I need anyway. But that's pretty cool. I love all these extra features they gave us. But let's see here. Our very first tier is Night Force. Night Force, not regular standard ripcord. I love this head sculpt though. I think it's a really nice job for him. He's got this helmet with goggles here with a visor, and then he's got his old school goggles. I love this machine gun he comes with, and then the sniper rifle, so you can go hunt Zartan on Cobra Island. He's got his backpack. I would love it even more if he came with a workable parachute. That would be really fun. But I think we're getting a good sense of what this figure is going to look like when he's in his classic colors. I would have loved this if it was generic camo version of Ripcord, but I understand. Let's go with this because we don't want people saying, oh man, I don't want to pay for a paywall just to get Ripcord. So doing this Night Force version is okay. I think G.I. Joe can be confident enough to not have to worry about people not backing these HasLabs, at least at this rate, because everything for the His Tank funded right away. I mean, it didn't take too long to fund. This Dragonfly is going to go at an exceptionally fast rate, even faster than the His Tank. So I think they can be confident and do mainline characters. They could do Doc, they could do Airborne, they could do Lifeline without any worry. I kind of want to see more characters and not generic army builders. I want to see more name characters because there's still so many more left in this line to go. Mr. Cheeseburger, no early birds. They hurt the HasLabs. No more early bird. I kind of feel like that did burn them a few times, and I think they learned their lesson. I think the better way to go, of course, is add an extra tier later. G.I. Joe HasLab projects 3 for 3 now. Let that sink in for a moment. Well, I think if anything, this should embolden the Hasbro G.I. Joe team that this is their priority line, and the fans are really excited. The team working with the G.I. Joe brand is excited. I don't know if you guys were peeping Lenny like I was. He was just giddy at explaining all the features and all the different hard work that they put into it. And Emily's hyped up and she's like, I'm on a box and this thing is still massive to me. And I love how much heart and soul and effort they're putting into this brand. It's like the little extras. It's not Super 7 level of deep cuts, but what we're getting is so functional and so appropriate for these characters that I just love everything they're doing with it. Give us the HasLab RTB Unicron. Maybe if they put it under a G.I. Joe branding, they could get the Rancor and Engine of Vengeance done. Ski Raider, after previous, I'd rather them add a tier after to thank us. Makes more sense than doing something crazy and wrong and leave kindling material to be burned. Yeah, I really think that's a good way to go. And if it's just something as basic as another Cobra Trooper, I'm fine with that. Maybe you throw in your green trooper there, but I don't mind that as the 5th tier. I saw some people going maybe Tomahawk, General Tomahawk, where he's in that beret and the leather jacket. That's another option. Maybe that could work. I like Hawks. I like all his different outfits. I wouldn't be upset at that. Maybe Colonel Hawk. Exotic Car Facts official channel. We don't need any gimmicks like an early bird or bait and switch. Just give us what we want at an affordable price and watch the backers roll in. And I think that's what Hasbro is seeing right now, that You deliver a quality product that you put a lot of effort into, we will back. And I feel like, kind of just checking around at different sites, there's an overwhelming love of this HasLab. It's not this thing of, oh gosh, it sucks. Like with the Engine of Vengeance, I felt like it was so much back and forth, so much contention where people were like, it's worth it. People were like, no, it's not worth it. And I feel like with this one, people are like, oh man. I think the biggest thing that I'm reading is people going, I don't have the space for this. But I really love the idea of this, and the execution of this HasLab Dragonfly has been amazing. Yes, the night attack copters. That's what the name of this is. Thank you, because Google was of zero help. It is very underrated, man. You got some good stuff, bro. This was, I love this helicopter. It's really great. And like I said, it has so many of the different features that they were showing off with the Dragonfly. It's got that winch, so you can drive it down and have some more Joes showing up. These missiles all fire, so that's really fun too. And if I can pull this up without breaking it, yeah, you can pop this up, and this opens up another panel, so you can get some more Joes in there too. Yeah, you can't see it, but really fun, really cool. One of my favorite modern S3.75 Joe vehicles. Loading snacks. What's up, fam? That's dope. Sharlock, you made a live stream. We are all here. It's great. We need free fall as one of the tiers. Free fall. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Grunt in this space here. I think that could be really fun. We could have him in his tan outfit. I know we just got the reveal for the regular one, but I wouldn't be upset at Falcon Glider Grunt showing up as an extra tier on this. I think that would be fun. You said free fall, Mr. Cheeseburger. So let's see if I can pull up free fall real fast. That whole Sky Patrol was kind of fun, and I think they would make for cool figures, especially if we could get a bunch of them. But yeah, here's free fall, cool camo. Even though he's kind of reminiscent of Ripcord, and we've got Ripcord, do we need him to? But that's a really cool figure look as well. So, Mr. Cheeseburger back to his nice. Digital Dig. Hi, all. Can't wait till 2 weeks when I get paid to grab a couple Dragonfly. Yeah, I think that price point really helped in terms of getting people to buy more than one. I'm really curious how many people are going to get 5. And I want to see those displays where people have the 5 Dragonfly going against the 5 His Tanks. That would be really cool. Iron Boy Wonder. The good news has 7,000 for now. It would get funded. Yeah. Where's it right now? I keep feeling like as this show keeps going, it's going to hit it. All right, right now it's at 7,620. So it's going really well. I don't think we're going to have any problem. Mr. Cheeseburger, Thursday, Black Widow is being released at Target. Nice to know. Mr. Popinski, soda. Nice. That's cool. Bringing me back to the nightmares of fighting Macho Man and then losing in 30 seconds to Iron Mike Tyson. There's 3 more streams left, and that is the crazy part. And I feel like this is also a smart thing on Hasbro's part, where the HasLab isn't so expensive that all of these pre-orders are just out of reach and out of range for us. It's like, okay, cool, we got this, but now there's some other stuff to come. I wonder if we're going to see an Airborne as a solo release. Maybe that makes sense. And if he's part of the next 3 live streams, all will be forgiven. I'll be okay with that. I'd love to see Doc here show up in these streams over the next 3 weeks as well, because when I think of the Dragonfly, I think Wild Bill, of course, and I think Airborne or Doc. Jeffrey, did you back one? I don't think I will, but it looks amazing. I do want a Wild Bill, and by the way, who pilots the rest of the Dragonfly fleet? This is my thing with the cartoon. It was like everybody can fly it. So Scarlet, Gung Ho, whoever decided they wanted to just take it. It was like, well, Wild Bill's the Dragonfly expert. Why is everybody in here? But to answer your question, I am backing it, and it's just not today. But I'm sure it'll be long past the point of tears when I do back it. But I am 100% getting a Dragonfly, and future Jeff is going to worry about where he's placing this. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. Legends is going to have to do something absolutely amazing to compete for HasLab money. I really, really hope that they take a little bit of time, like maybe go from, so this is going from June to July 7th. I think if the Marvel Legends team waits until, say, mid-August before they pull up their HasLab, that's a smarter way to go, as opposed to, all right, it's July 8th. Here's the Marvel Legends HasLab. Because I feel like people are they're going to be excited about this. And It's going to take a phenomenally giant, massive size HasLab to get people hyped up and ready for it. So we'll see. Jody, what's going on? There's my dude. Stoked that they're doing Night Force with the HasLab, hoping for Night Force, Crazy Legs, and Airborne as the next 2 tiers. So I wrote out this list of all the existing Night Force characters that I know and remember. So I have Crazy Legs, Lieutenant Falcon, Outback, Psych Out, Sneak Peek, Tunnel Rat. So we've got a few already done. So those are real close, clearly options. Charborough, Lightfoot, Muskrat, Repeater, Shockwave. We've kind of got the rumor the Shockwave's coming, and Spearhead and Max. So those would be cool to see in Night Force. And don't even know who's going to get added onto it. I think maybe Gung Ho would be a fun addition to Night Force, even though he's had one. He's got a retro figure hanging out on the pegs right now, but that could work. As long as we get Airborne as a tier, I don't care what the third one is. I logged into Pulse to back, and it was at 6 backers. By the time I finished my purchase, it was at 86. Nice. And I think that these you won't have any problem with everything getting funded. I think it's going to work no problem. And for those of you curious and wanted to know, if you have Pulse Premium membership, the HasLab is free. There's no shipping for it. It's not free, but yeah, there's no shipping cost for it. So it's still under $300 after you factor in tax, which is a great thing. Sean, I think one of the tiers should have a generic pilot for army building needs. Well, maybe that's an option for people who want to know who else is going to pilot your Dragonflies. My guy, Blake, thank you so much as always, my good friend. I really appreciate you. Is there an idea when that Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest HasLab is going to be announced? Like I'm saying, I'm thinking that they should wait till August and don't immediately try to go, all right, this one's done. Let's go on to the Marvel one, then go on to the Star Wars one. I believe from the last Star Wars live stream that they said they're going to reveal theirs at San Diego Comic-Con, which, if I am not mistaken, is still in July. So let's see. Let me do a real quick check. That is set for July 19th through July 23rd. So that'll be when we see that. So I guess we'll get a break between now and the Marvel Legends, which is really smart for them. Ski Raider, support for all G.I. Joe dopeness. Bring the Snowcat on and the Whale, bring them on, plugging away bit by bit. I think with the success of this already, I think Hasbro is going to go even bigger. Maybe a Rattler and a Sky Striker aren't outside the realm of possibility now, because there's clearly that demand for 6-inch scale G.I. Joe vehicles. And I think there's smaller ones that we talked about last episode that could work as well. We're seeing the Trouble Bubble, rumors of a Python Patrol Trouble Bubble coming as well. So they've got a clear runway, a Fast and Furious 6 size runway where they can just take off and keep going for as long as they need to before people go, this is too much, this isn't worth it. But the way they're delivering on these 2 HasLabs so far, I feel like they could get away with doing that Whale, which originally I thought was a pipe dream, but now I feel like maybe they could do it. Kendrick, we can see a G.I. Joe headquarters base as a HasLab. They can't do the U.S. flag. That would be like at least $1,000 at least. Same for Cobra base. But the G.I. Joe headquarters base could maybe be around $800. I feel like, because it doesn't necessarily have to be anything outside of the dimensions of a Mobat, because most of it is just kind of like one platform thing where there's not, I guess they had that working wrench so you can move the vamp up. But I don't think it has to be that much more expensive. I think that's not too unreasonable for 300, 400, or maybe 300, maybe 350, 400. Didn't fund as quick as a His Tank. His Tank did it in 8 hours. I think the tiers are too crazy. 19,000 is crazy. Oh, okay. Well, I was talking about the first one, but that's cool. That, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just glad it's going to get funded. Is the His Tank still available to back? If Dragonfly comes with a classic Duke or Flint, I'll be more excited. The His Tank is done. The window is closed. It's in production now. The only way you're going to get a His Tank is from people trying to make a ton of money reselling to people who missed out. So hopefully you can find a good deal for it. All right. Sherlock is here hanging out with Blake. Always a good day when I get to buy G.I. Joes and catch Jeffrey live. I do appreciate it. Ski Raider, 26,000. His is sold. 19,000 is not impossible at all with this. Add a tier to congratulate. Thank us. We'll get it popping. Yeah. What would you want to see popping? This baby will fund by the end of the day. I'm with you, Thomas. Reasonable price and reasonable goal. Why can't they apply these concepts to the Star Wars HasLabs? You got me. I feel like the G.I. Joe team really understands their market, and maybe that's the difference between the Star Wars team. Because I feel like if you look at some of those other brand teams, some are better than others in terms of delivering what fans want. I think the Marvel Legends are kind of up and down because they'll give us a modern interpretation of a classic character we've been waiting on. It's like, whoa, that's great to do Moondragon, but what about the green outfit? So we have that, but I feel like with these guys, if we get the variant first, we know eventually, like we've seen with Bazooka, we've seen with Rakondo and Outback, the classic versions are going to be coming eventually. So I'm not worried about Ripcord in his Night Force colors, and same deal with Shockwave if he is in fact in that as well. If they reveal a much wanted figure, that tier 2, yep. Mr. Cheeseburger. EOV didn't fund, but Marvel Legends fans are going to back the Giant Man, even though it's been done before. Marvel Legends fans hate Marvel Legends. G.I. Joe fans, real G.I. Joe fans, are committed. I feel like we're seeing a whole bunch of committed G.I. Joe fans. And I think some of that just might be because Toy Biz, broke the ground on the 6-inch Marvel Legends format. Hasbro's picked it up, refined it in a lot of cases, but we have been waiting on a 6-inch G.I. Joe line for so long. And the Star Wars Black Series came, and they were cranking out vehicles, and people were excited. And then the head sculpts were kind of janky. The articulation didn't quite match up with what we were getting from Marvel Legends. But G.I. Joe Classified Series is really delivering what the fans have wanted for decades, because it's 20 years of Marvel Legends. So yeah, I think that's what we're seeing is the case. And after 20 years of kind of back and forth with Marvel Legends, I think the fan base is kind of like, yeah, I'm down for it, but I need to see more. Whereas with Classified Series, they have the benefit of taking all the lessons from the other brands and applying that to theirs and being able to succeed and thrive in a major way. Jericho Savage, what's going on? Back instantly. That's what was crazy. Normally I pop out the chats because I don't want to read all the foolishness, but this one, the chat was all love. It's like, oh man, this is crazy. I can't wait to get it. It's amazing. So that was fun. And at 5K by 4 hours, 4.5 actually. See that? Watch. Aquarius, man. Hey Jeff, what do you think about the HasLab? I think it's amazing. I think this is the future for these HasLabs. Pricing it, someone can be more expensive than others. Some can be cheaper than the others. And one thing I wish they would do, because there's really no need to it, because this is going to fund really fast. It just shows all the tiers at once. I would have loved to have seen who the second, third tier was in addition to that Night Force Ripcord. That way they have some time to throw in a little bonus for us later on, but that's about it. And I'm doing good. You're never late here on this live stream. We're all here. We're just having a good time, kicking it. So don't worry. Rain Rock 80s rants, real talk. Could the fourth figure be Crazy Legs? I wouldn't be upset with Crazy Legs. I loved his look. I just thought he was a cool character. I do think that if they do Crazy Legs, we might see him in Night Force attire, even though I want the more colorful red and gray outfit first. Exotic Carfax official channel. We did it, y'all. This is a huge win for the collecting community. I agree. We have the power. We brought Hasbro to their senses, and now they know not to play games with the fandom. Goblin Queen, Ula, next. Yeah, thank you, next. I think that's what we're seeing here. The Joe brand understands what we want. They're delivering it, pricing it affordably, and it's like a win for Hasbro because this project, they put all this effort, material, sculpting, detail into the promotional marketing, everything. And those marketing videos are really cool. I love General Hawk narrating the setup and introducing the HasLab Dragonfly. That was cool. It pays off. And for us, we get paid off because we get a really good vehicle that looks a lot of fun, lots of great accessories, blast effects we could probably use with other vehicles too. So lots to be excited about with it. And, that's ideally how this works. They deliver something we want that's really well executed, and we pay for it. And it's not a thing of I'm going to wait for clearance, because I think for me and for a lot of you all, it's waiting on clearance because this is the same figure, same mold with pins that we were paying for at $20 3 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's worth $27. That wasn't cool. So I think we're seeing with the Classified Series team that they know what they're doing and know how to deliver for us. Mason, Carol, I just got that new Ant-Man and I'm ready for Giant Man. Blake showed me his Ant-Man and I'm just so excited to get this thing. It's like, wow, they really killed it with that figure. And yeah, I'm waiting to see what the HasLab Giant Man that it's not been confirmed yet looks like. I wish I had the budget to collect G.I. Joe. Yeah, it's kind of getting to this decision making time, especially if you just get a bunch of Hasbro lines. Because there's a Lightning collection, there's Star Wars Black Series, a Star Wars Vintage collection, there's Transformers, there's Marvel Legends, and then there's G.I. Joe Classified Series. And I think you all know that my fandom priority right now is Classified Series and getting that Green Banshee. Mr. Cheeseburger, Blake Tarpley, I'll give you my Wild Bill for free. You're still giving to the toy collecting community. Absolutely. Blake is awesome. Really, really good guy. And just an awesome contributor and supporter of this channel and all the other ones. Jericho Savage, 275 is a great deal considering we'll be getting 3 figures when it's all said and done. Maybe more. So yeah, I think 3 figures, because what's that now? That's $75. So then if you wanted to go with the logic of, well, I guess it's 4, because we have Wild Bill, we have Ripcord, and then 2 other figures. So that's 4. So that's $100 right there with current retail pricing. So then your Dragonfly is $175. So that's a really big win. Aquarius, man, I did too. I thought the price would be higher, like $300. It's a good deal with 4 figures, $24.99 each, and the Dragonfly is $175 exactly. Mr. Cheeseburger, man, thanks, but you need a pilot. Kidrick, the price ain't bad, but if it didn't come with the light up features and all that, I think it would be just $199. I don't mind the light up features with this one because I feel like it adds a little plus premium feel to a vehicle. So that's cool. I don't like it when it's just like a really small, cheap one-off light where it's like, do we need this? I thought the Engine of Vengeance light was kind of cool because it had it on the outside, it had an interior, and it would light up Ghost Rider's head. So I thought that was cool, but for the most part, if we can lower the price without having the electronics, the light up features, I'm for it. But I've liked the choices so far with the HasLab for the G.I. Joe team. Mr. Cheeseburger, I'm sorry, $200 for Slave One. I still would have backed it. My favorite Star Wars ship of all time. It's you don't even have to worry about backing it because it's still available. You can get it right now and no issue. It is still, you can actually get it right this moment, Mr. Cheeseburger. You can just add it to cart and no problem. And I think, for the paint job and all this stuff, it looks good. Charlotte, I'm going to need that airborne to hang from the tow line, right, to raffle down and help bail out the rest of the Joes. I can't wait to do that too. Kwame Taylor, thank you so much. Showing some love. Better than that brass car, Batwing, and Batmobile people always like to bring up. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the deal here, where it's like we've been comparing things that I felt like weren't great deals, but this one is like you guys delivered. There's the base of the Dragonfly itself, and then there's the accessories included right away. That's all we really wanted. And then the Great Wild Bill is not some wacko version of him. It looks great. And then everything else is just gravy. So it's like, cool, I'm getting a free Ripcord. I'm getting a free other 2 figures along with that. But I think just this was really good. And then when you start factoring in the tier figures, taking down that price point of the Dragonfly itself, it's a huge win for us. 80s kids from the 90s. So many great figures from Hasbro this year. How am I going to buy everything I want this year? Dude, I don't know. I feel like you're going to have to just wait on some clearance on some of these things. Like you'll choose your priority line, pay whatever you need to for that. Take advantage of those Target sales like I always say. And it's been a long time since we've had that Target sale. But take advantage of that. Do shop kicks like I do. Stack up your money and get it that way because, geez, there is a ton of stuff. Kwame agrees. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. Dang, I just ordered 2. Well, let's see here. I'm very curious now. It was at 7,620 a few minutes ago. Now it's at 681. So it's slowing down. It's not quite at that rapid pace that it was before, but still going really strong. I wish I could afford the Dragonfly. This is where I really wish they would set up some form of payment plan because I feel like this is not terribly priced like some other ones, but for people like 80s kid from the 90s who are like, oh man, this is a lot to drop at once. I think just making it like, hey, here's 4 payments of $50 and bam, here you go. You know what I'm saying? My math is mathy. But that's something that would be really cool if they could set those up, because we're not getting this for another year. So maybe set it up where you have until January to pay for it, and otherwise you start paying some interest or whatever. But I think that's the next thing I love to see just in general for crowdfunding projects. The ability, much like Hot Toys with their through Sideshow Collectibles, you can pay in installments. And I'm going to pay 68 this month, 78 the next one, and just until it's done. Oh, don't worry. I knew you were talking about Ripley. Ellen Ripley, one of the absolute best action characters of all time, is out at Carfax official channel. I bet that the people paid $250 for that McFarlane Toys Batwing feeling some kind of way right now. Never paid full retail price for anything from McFarlane Toys related. Yeah, the price on that versus this is just not even a contest. I mean, we're getting so much for this Dragonfly compared to what was available with the Batwing, and it's still there. Lefty Two Lions, BK, Jeff, yo, Joe. I locked in an order for one Dragonfly, aka the Tank Killer. Yeah, I mean, so much fun. I'm really hoping that by the end of June, they throw out something crazy like a Vamp or a Wolverine, just to be like, listen, we know we can do it. We know you guys have been asking for more vehicles. Here's another medium-sized vehicle for you. Aquarius man, Jeff, how many are you going to back? I'm going to back it. I want 5, but be careful with money and bills. I might get 2 or 3. I'm getting 1 because I have one Dragonfly expert. That is the one and only Wild Bill. And I kind of like having individual vehicles with specialist drivers. There's some vehicles like the Trouble Bubble that the more the merrier. But for Dragonfly, Sky Striker, I'm kind of thinking the taxpayers' money is not going to be funding 18 Dragonfly and 18 Sky Strikers. So just 1 is cool. And Wild Bill keeps going through them so fast that I just need 1 at the time. Toy Bounty Hunter. I back 1 so far. Going to try to save up enough for 717 to get a second, but getting 1 for sure. Yeah, I think everybody's like, yeah, I need to get 1. And then maybe after some more time, because it's a long time between now and July 17th, there's some more opportunities to get it. Ryan Daly, what's up, Jeffrey? Happy to get a classified version of my favorite Joe vehicle. Ryan, I am so with you. There's so many favorite Joe vehicles for me. The Dragonfly is definitely in that list, and it's a great vehicle. We're getting so much stuff. I mean, I of course want the Snowcat. I'd love to see a whale in this line eventually, a Rattler, so I can put Wild Weasel in there, the Water Moccasin, the Marais. So many cool things still to come with this line. The Vamp, the Mobat, of course. So they could just roll with HasLabs for the next 5-10 years, and I'd still be like, ooh, I still want this. Dare I hope for Defiant? DC Collector, sorry. I have just 1 order today. Early bird would have been cool. Day 1 pre-order tier would be the best thing to do. So that's another vote for an early bird. That's interesting because I feel like a lot of people were kind of burned from that Robbie Reyes deal, or hey, he's civilian mode Robbie. Sorry, you can't get him now. I think it just set people off. And then we saw with the Nitro Arena where, oh, we want to get this Hogan, but then people were like, we already got this Hogan figure. And then they reconfigured the whole thing so you could get Scott Steiner, you get DDP earlier, and it still didn't work. So I think there's a subtle game to work with the early birds. And if it's something really cool that people want, that's nice. But I think in this case, there's no stress, there's no pressure on people to buy it right away outside of seeing how quickly this thing will get funded. I would love to see the forgotten original Joe Mayday. Who is Mayday? I'm wondering if you're thinking about Shooter, who is scheduled to come, probably Night Force colors, so that would make sense as well. We're going to stock up on this Night Force by the time it's done. They're going to be rolling like Tiger Force soon. Kidra, the Dragonfly and his tank both do look really cool, but they're way out of my price range. But I'm still looking for the breaker figure that comes with the Ram Cycle. Now that's something you should probably be able to find relatively easy on the secondary market, because I know people were able to get that for a pretty cheap price point upon a time, because it was like $6 in some Target stores. I'm checking now on eBay just to see how ridiculous it would be. You could get Breaker for $35, which is more than what people were paying for the Ram Cycle. You get the head for $12. He's a little bit more expensive than I would have thought he was, but yeah, there was an opportunity to get him really cheap, and people were stacking up on him. Speaking of early birds, I'm going to the early screening for Transformers on Wednesday. I'm actually looking sort of forward to it. I would have seen it, but the screening was way out. Tomorrow I'm going to see the Flash though, so I'm very excited about that. So hopefully I'll have a good breakdown of that for you. Doc Avenger, and it comes with decals too. Yeah, can't forget the decals. Salsa. Ryan, they'll save Airborne for a regular release. The tiers are going to be niche figures like a culprit, co-pilot, or a landing crewman, or a pilot Scarlet. So you bring up something that I wanted to talk about as well. So if I can find that window, the Sky Striker, because we did get this Sky Striker, and it was pretty cool for the vintage collection, or 3.75 inch no vintage collection for this line. Let's pull that up here real fast. So this was the Sky Striker in all of its glory, and here's what this came with. Pretty decent amount of stuff. It's got its own flight stand, some fire flame effects, missile effects, very cool. Tons of missiles. It's got Ace. It's got a co-pilot as well. It's got a little gantry place for missiles to load up, and then a fueling tank. Lots of cool features on the Sky Striker. And then let's check out those tiers. I love this Cobra edition. That was pretty fun. The Cobra Hostile Takeover with Cobra Commander, a Cobra Pilot, and then a Cobra Trooper. So that's pretty cool. They put in a lot of stuff with that. That was successfully funded at 10,000 backers, by the way. So really interesting to see that. So you'd mentioned, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want to see for, whoever's going to be in there for that ripcord. I love to see working parachutes because I just think that would be fun. And I don't need it to be fancy. I don't need it to work like an actual parachute. I just want something where I can throw up my Night Force ripcord and let them come down slowly on the ground. That would be really fun. So here is the Scarlet pilot that came with this Sky Striker, and she's all right. She's pretty interesting with her color scheme, and most of her head is covered so she can put that helmet on. She's got the crossbows as always, as you would expect for her. That was at 13,000. O-Ring Scarlet. Here's the Night Force ripcord, and I don't think he got funded, so they're giving another shot to get him back to us. And then this is the pit crew O-Ring action figures, and these are the guys kind of directing, come on Ace, come this way. So it's really cool additions. I don't know if I need that for the Dragonfly, but I thought, it was a nice touch for the Sky Striker. Ski Raider, Airborne and Doc are not in this, still to be determined. Please release them pronto, ASAP, to go with this. I'm glad they will not be at their regular releases, thinking about the fans. Yeah, I feel like if June comes and goes with no mention of Airborne and Doc, then I'm going to be a little heated. Just a little bit, but I think they're going to do right by us one way or the other. Common, in hindsight, looking at Ramen Toys, the Engine of Vengeance would have been better. I just think that price killed it. Alpha Proto. Yeah, nice nylon on spandex parachute. Yes, I mean, how much fun would that be to just toss it up like, it's time to duck out. Now, this will be a little bit trickier with the helicopter because it was Blaze. Watch Blaze record. But, I think that'd be fun to just add in there too. And Mr. Cheeseburger. I don't think they can do Airborne because it's such an integral part of the G.I. Joe core. Yeah, I'm wondering though, because I feel like with this, it's going to sell. Maybe, they still got time to pivot because they haven't revealed everything. So maybe that's why they don't reveal it. So I think they could throw regular Airborne in and people would be like, oh, got to get him. Same deal with Doc. Maybe this is where they do Doc 2, his daughter. Maybe. Ryan Daly, they'll release classic Ripcord as a deluxe with a working parachute. If so, sign me up. I'm ready for him. And I really want to reenact that whole Cobra Island battle with Ripcord and Zartan from the comic book. That was so amazing. So cool. And then we could throw in an action deluxe figure of Candy, the bouncing bear. Ski Raider, if Doc and Airborne show up, I won't be too upset. Same time. Yeah. Namor761, didn't they say that one of the figures would be another pilot? I don't remember. I felt like they were throwing out all kinds of random cues and clues, and I was just we're getting a Dragonfly, and it's not going to be $500. So I kind of missed it, but if so, that's exciting. Which pilot would you want to see? Lift ticket? Because maybe we're not going to get that Tomahawk anytime soon. Yo, Joe! Always. The Hiss and the Dragonfly are perfect examples of Hasbro not having to pay Disney anything for these projects. I think you're right, Toy Bounty Hunter. I think because this their own property, as we've seen also with Transformers, they don't need to jack up the prices and go crazy with the licensing tax. So it's just, hey, here's all that extra value coming straight to you. So I think you're right on that. Will they do a regular release of Wild Bill for the pipeline? Because I like Wild Bill. He's one of the ones I like, and I always thought he looked cool. Well, there's some different options for Wild Bill. Like, he's a character that they could do just a basic retro cartoon Sunbow look for him, and that will work just fine. Then there's a solo Wild Bill that they could release. Let's take a look at what our friends over at 3D Joe's showed us, or with their breakdown of Wild Bill in his version 2 attire. And this is his Air Cavalry Scout look. So this is an idea of what we could get for a single carded Wild Bill. Basically his outfit, just some different color scheme going here. I don't know if I want this opposed to the Dragonfly version, but this is a way they could put him out to us. So this is a pretty cool, colorful looking outfit. And he's got a big honking cannon like all these Battle Core area term figures. So that's the way they could release him. They could do this figure repainted in the Sunbow colors. I don't think people would be too upset about that. As you can see from my helicopter, I have the Sunbow colors Wild Bill proudly in display on my helicopter too. So not a problem with that for me. Hey, Joe's made for HasLab more than other brands. They're vehicle focused and don't have to pay royalties. Yeah. And I would love to see them take advantage of the Pulse as well. Like maybe come October or December, showing us a Vamp. I know a lot of you guys were going, maybe make the HasLab a Vamp, but I think they have more potential to keep cranking out more Vamp molds if they just release it through Pulse. That way, 3 months down the road, they could release the Vamp Mark II. A few more months later, then they could do the Stinger for Cobra. So that's why I don't think they should put that as a HasLab, because there are options. I feel like as we're seeing this interest in vehicles on the Classified Series line, they could get away with charging 150, maybe 200 for a Vamp and charging that price on Pulse, like we're seeing with Slave One on Pulse right now. It's an exclusive. Jimmy Gorillo. It's crowdfunding. LMAO. Where they sell Legends with the same price as Joe. Yeah, because between those two, there's a huge difference in terms of quality. Mr. Cheeseburger, Marvel Legends are great. I love them, but Marvel Legends fans hate Marvel Legends. They should finish the Marvel Disney contract and then move on to House IP. Mass figures and HasLab vehicles are great. Man, I still have so many Marvel Legends that I need to get, and they're putting out really great figures in 2023. Wonder Man, that Ant-Man, Puff Adder. There's so many figures that look really cool. Corsair. I'm excited about getting the X-Men 275 3-packs. I'm in no way, shape, or form wishing that Hasbro loses the Marvel Legends license, because there's so far we're getting so many characters and teams completed that I want to see completed, and there's so many more characters I would just want to see them do as well. Rowan and X33, very happy with this HasLab. Joe team is firing on all cylinders. Hopefully they don't have Cobra firing, because they will miss everything. But seriously, I feel like everything they're doing at this point, we had that little hiccup with Falcon and CoverGirl's head sculpts, but beyond that, they have just been knocking out home run after home run. Shit. J. Antonio, what if they have Doc or Lifeline with some medic attachment for the Dragonfly as a tier? I think that would be really cool. I think that there's an opportunity for that. So maybe they could release standard regular Doc to the masses at retail and then do a plussed up deluxe version with a stretcher. Maybe we have wrapped up bandaged Baroness included with him in a wheelchair. So right before she gets her face surgically altered by the Swiss doctor in G.I. Joe, what was that, 21, 22? 23. There you go. Robert's Infinite Realms. If this is how they intro Airborne, I'll be upset. Maybe not. I think there's definitely room for them to put him in this tier, or just release him solo, because I feel like Airborne would sell really well. Being a fine figure. Hey everyone, what's going on? Great reveal today. I'm with you. It was very exciting. Lefty T Lions BK, finding space for my HasLab, Hiss, and Dragonfly are future problems. I gladly welcome. Me too. I cannot wait to have that issue. I feel like the Joe Classified series, once the His Tank arrives, is going to require a massive redesign of the figure room, where it's like everything come down. I gotta figure out how I'm placing everything now. Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified series, get the prime spots, and then maybe do some rearranging with the DC shelf. We'll figure it out. Gene or Joan, where can I learn more and get up to speed on G.I. Joe? What makes the Dragonfly so special? Stick around here. I talk about G.I. Joe a lot. But if you really want to know, I would totally recommend reading the comic book, The Real American Hero from Larry Hama. So exceptional. I mean, he wrote these characters so well that it didn't really matter that they were a cartoon show. The comic book was so good, and I'm trying to see if I can pull this up real fast for you. Here you go. Oops, that's volume 10, not volume 1. Let's see here. But yeah, like he made these stories so great where you cared about the characters, and really early on he was able to just spend a lot of time focusing on developing the characters. So it felt like you knew them, like you cared about Clutch and Breaker had his whole knack of popping off of the bubble gum. This doesn't look like it's in sale, but this is the best opportunity to me that I recommend. Oh wait, the paperback's 22.40. Read this. I feel like if you just read volume 1, you're gonna get hooked onto it. In volume 2, where they introduce mainstay characters like Destro, Major Blood, and in volume 3, where they do the origin of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, you're just gonna be like, keep bringing more of these GI Joes to me. I need to get more of them. That's, I think, the best way to get into GI Joe. Then I'd also recommend the cartoons, at least the Sunbow versions. If nothing else, just watch the 5 or the 4 miniseries. So that's G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, G.I. Joe, The Revenge of Cobra, aka The Weather Dominator, Pyramid of Darkness is the 3rd one, and Arise, Serpentor, Arise. The great thing about those is if you swing over to YouTube, you don't have to pay anything, I believe. You can actually watch them right now free of charge, and you can see them through the G.I. Joe channel. The real official G.I. Joe channel. So you can watch all these G.I. Joe shows right here and catch up and see what makes G.I. Joe special. And yeah, so that would be my recommendation. Kwame, I only got one Dragonfly in anticipation for other HasLab vehicles in the future. Exactly, because I'm going to need space for anything else they bring out to us, and I can't have 4 or 5 Dragonflies taking up all the space. We need a dock. Yeah, we've needed a dock for a minute now. I've been clamoring for him for a long time. I think maybe short of Alpine, Doc is my, I guess now, number 1 Joe that I want to see done, because we've gotten so many classic figures. We've got Shipwreck, we got Snow Job, we've got Bazooka, we've got so many on the pipeline coming. Tunnel Rat, Low Light, General Hawk, and we need a medic to patch all these guys up. Jeff, the partner sits behind Wild Bill will be the next tier unlocked, and 3rd unlock is Airborne. It'd be nice if they added another unlock tier. Add Doc. I'm with you. I would be happy, because I feel like this is not going to be something that's not going to get funded. So everybody who backs it is going to be able to get it no problem. And for those of you who aren't going to back it, I think if they do more unique characters, you have a better shot of getting those figures than if it's like, all right, well, here's generic army builder, because they'll use generic army builder, but if people are buying 5 Dragonflies, they're not going to need 5 Airborns. They're not going to need 5 Docs. Now, maybe they could use those Night Force Ripcords, because he could just fill in that generic stance, but that's what I'm thinking there. Fitness Frank, pump that like. Oh, strong. Thank you. Christopher Voss, hope I said your last name correctly. The His Tank had 8,213 backers with 47 instead of 42 days, 4 hours and 4 minutes to go. Seems close so far. Yeah, this is fun. This is that time where it's like, all right, well, let's see how it matches up with other HasLabs. And I think this will be a nice neck and neck battle between the two. We need a doc. Yeah, I think he's going to be one we're really going to be hoping to see soon. Smash Guitars. Guess who's getting paid Friday buying a helicopter? That guy? Yes, that's pretty cool. Ooh, Muskrat. Was just reading a story with him in Outback tracking down an escaped Darkline. Yeah, those comic books, I feel like they're the gateway to get you all into wanting every figure, because Larry Hama wrote so well in terms of defining characters for so long, so many different personalities for all these characters, and it was so fun. And it's really wild seeing how different the cartoon portrays some characters, Snake Eyes, Flint, uh, Shipwreck, versus how they're portrayed in the comic book. Cobra Commander was really great in the comic book as well as the cartoon, by the way. I wouldn't mind a Night Force Lieutenant Falcon if they give him a new head sculpt. Yeah, I feel like if he's the one, if they did the Night Force version, we're going to need to see a better head sculpt. Mr. Cheeseburger, I'm done supporting Marvel Legends HasLab. That is a toxic bunch of fans. I hear you, but I don't think you should deprive yourself of cool figures just because you're taking a stance against the fans who aren't going to know if you're not getting it all. But do what you want to do. But I hope you're not going to feel regret missing out on some great figures to show off to tell the toxic fans what's going on with them. I totally lost all my knowledge of Joes over the years. Amazing how popular they still are. It's bringing me back to my childhood. That's the amazing thing about this, because I mean, we've seen, what do we got, like 9, 10, 11 Star Wars films, like a plethora of Marvel films. So you understand that. We got a Transformers movie dropping this weekend, next weekend. So those properties make sense. Power Rangers has never left. And, those properties should endure because they got stuff. We got a Netflix Masters of the Universe both ways. We got a little kids version, an adult version too. So we had a lot of properties, but somehow G.I. Joe still keeps going through. And even though they have really questionable to terrible movies, they're still plugging through, still have this fan interest, and still have so many fans invested in this line. Henry G saying, you don't need a specific pilot for the Dragonfly. Any classified series can pilot if you want an army build. That's true. I just I don't need that many figures. I don't need that many Dragonfly. I just want to have my specialist rocking all this stuff. Mr. Cheeseburger. Yes, sir. The Rattler. Gimme. Yeah. Oh, man. I'm so excited about the possibilities that could actually happen now that I'm like, oh, cool. And I feel like based off of Lenny's hinting, we're going to see the Thunder Machine next. But I'm really curious to see what the 2025 HasLab for the Joes is going to be. Maybe the Mobat, maybe the Havoc. Lots of possibilities. Christopher, 6-inch scale Sky Striker Rattler. I think my wallet just began to bleed. Yeah, get some bandages, get some duct tape, and we'll fix it all up. A Templar Hunter. I think this is an absolute home run for Hasbro. I may start my collection of Joes with this Dragonfly. Great price, great offering. They're almost fun, and it hasn't been a day yet. If you haven't, I think this is a really good time to get into the line, or you can wait till that next Hasbro Pulse sale where they do 30% off, 35% off if you're a Pulse Premium member, or if you take advantage of sales during the holiday season, which might be a long time to wait, but you're not getting Dragonfly until next year. But if you've been collecting various 6-inch figure lines, this is going to be one that's going to set you up and just drag you in. And you're going to be like, wow, this line is amazing. So many really great figures, great sculpting, so many little details, so many accessories they throw in. It's a really fun line to get into. They go big. Terradrome. Yeah, the Terradrome would be such a fun place at like your absolute pinnacle of your display in your room, your wing, your studio, whatever. But the Terradrome would be so cool. $400 HQ easy. Are you talking about the Terradrome or the G.I. Joe? Jam Fortnite. Way too much money pricing out people left and right. So I'm curious about that. I feel like a lot of people have been of the mindset that this is a pretty good deal in terms of what you're getting. And I'm not a fan. I've said this numerous times at the $25 price point for figures, more so for lines where they're not really doing anything beyond what they have been doing for years and years and years. I feel like with the Classified series, they're not afraid to implement new things like, hey, let's get a swappable hairpiece for Zorana, for Lady J, Wild Bill, and Shipwreck. Like, those are the kind of innovations that I like to see if they're going to charge more. I don't feel like we're just seeing that with some of these other lines. They're taking away things like Build-A-Figure parts and giving us hands for accessories, but I think these are pretty well done and well priced. Jay Woods, Hasbro owns the G.I. Joe IP that helps with keeping licensing expenses down. Marvel and Star Wars have licenses, and they're super expensive too. Jam Fortnite, a lower price would equal more sales and more money. Why make so few when you can make a lot more? See, that's funny because I think that with this one, it's lower than the His Tank, and the His Tank had no problem selling whatsoever. It needed 8,000 to back. It got basically 27,000. I think we're going to see the same thing here, where it's going to be a lot of people backing this because they were dreading the worst, fearing that it was going to be over 300 just because it's the new year and it's going to be a new price point for it. But the fact that it's lower actually says that Hasbro recognizes they don't need to charge so much, maybe incentivize people to buy more. So I think that was their plan with this. So we'll see. E-Templar Hunter, the three big brands Hasbro handles, they have the most leeway with G.I. Joe. They can offer more accessories and not worry too much, if at all, about clearing any legal hurdles and licensing. Smash Guitars, that's facts, man. Joe just different. Yeah, they do. What I think about the G.I. Joe Transformers film crossover, I think they need to make a good G.I. Joe film before they do a Transformers crossover, but I could be excited about it. I like the fact that the Transformers actually have color designs where I can make out who's who instead of everybody being that gunmetal gray except for Prime and Bumblebee. So I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of excited about this Transformers Rise of the Beast, and if they can manage to figure out G.I. Joe. But I kind of think that Michael Bay was already putting in a G.I. Joe crossover in his Transformer films anyway, with Tyrese and Josh Duhamel basically operating as Duke and Stalker anyway. Let's see what we're all saying here. Jay Woods wants to know that important question. How much are collectors willing to spend for a Giant Man 16 and 18-inch action figure? $250? I think this is where reading the marketplace would really help them. If they make Giant Man for $200, I see him selling through all the tiers right away. Maybe that's not realistic, but I think if you just plus up a figure that doesn't need a lot of sculpted elements, not like the Sentinel, not like Galactus, that they could reuse for other Pulse exclusives later on down the road, I think 200 would work. And if you just throw in, 4 tier figures and an early bird if you want, I think that would work. I feel like if they start getting closer to 250, they get closer to 275 and 300, it's not going to work really well. And I think we're going to have a lot of disappointed Marvel Legends collectors. But I think this shows us what a $275 HasLab should look like versus what a $250 figure should be. Jarhead would rather have had a ground vehicle, but can't complain about this. Yeah, I think there were a lot of ground vehicle options that I think a lot of us are excited about, but the Dragonfly is so iconic that you kind of have to get it at some point, and it's certainly not a vehicle that I think a lot of us are complaining about getting either. Kwame, I like waiting to see the tiers. It gives us something to look forward to for the next few days. That's true. I kind of am always like, well, when's the next tier going to be revealed? It's just a matter, I guess, of when it gets fun and past that next tier. John, Giant Man shouldn't be more than $150. I feel like that's not too far off. I feel like if you look at like the Destroyer, which had a lot of intricate sculpting in a 2-pack with Thor, that wasn't even more than $60. I think that if you just multiply that, because Giant Man does not need the level of sculpting detail as the Destroyer. 80s kids from the 90s, Joe's are the best, or just the best action figures. You're not going to hear a lot of argument from me on that. If they don't add more tiers and it meets the listed ones, this is 3 $25 figures plus a $200 helicopter. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid deal. Jimmy Gorillo, Mayfax replaced most of my Legends anyway. Do you have that Iron Man and Thor? I'm really curious. And Magneto to kind of get me to jump on those. Bobby Eldridge would love Crazy Legs. He was my first Joe I remember getting. He's a really fun character. My first four, because we got them at the same time, were Scarlet, Flash, Stalker, and Snake Eyes, just because they stood out so much from the rest of them. Rock and Roll was next up on that list, just because he was also a bonus. Topher Supreme. I would like to see the Joe Jetpack as a bonus. Now we know we had that coming with the Steel Core. So I think maybe that could be something that we could see as an added bonus. Maybe it's on the table. Maybe a tier could be the jump platform where we just have like a grand slam. Maybe people wouldn't compare or complain about getting him through this program. Pavement Carvers, 175 with four figures at $25. Yep. Being a fine figure, I have stopped getting Marvel Legends and focusing more on G.I. Joe. And I think some of that is because we've been watching clearance figures of Marvel Legends. I'm seeing some of my friends in this area, they're saying that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie figures are now down to $17. And that's a good price point for figures. And in some cases, we've seen them drop even lower. So who knows? Ryan, I got Ant-Man and his helmet sculpt was defective. My first actual suffering from windowless packaging. The horror. This is why I cannot wait for them to come back, because they're so overdue to get better sculpting so we can see it. I mean, because that was the thing. It's like if we could see there was a flaw with the figure, we're not going to buy it. And just putting that roulette game out there for us is really affecting us as collectors. I think they may give us a special version of General Hawk, this HasLab offering to mirror what was done with Cobra Commander with the Hiss. So maybe this will play into my idea. We get General Hawk as Colonel Hawk, and this time we get him with the blonde crew cut from the comic books. And then if they were to release him in a solo pack, then they could release General Hawk with the harness and silver straps and give him the brown hair like General Hawk does later. Maybe that's an option they could do. I think that's something that could work too. Julio Ramirez, if the Hiss got Cobra Commander, yeah, I mean, we should. Kwame, thank you so much again, good sir. I appreciate it. Not convinced the failure of EOV affected the Dragonfly. The Joe team doesn't have to pay royalty fees. We're able to give us another great HasLab. I don't know. I mean, I think at this point it's just a win for us. And I'm hoping that Hasbro, all across their different brands, took in the actual constructive criticism, comments from the collectors, and used that for all of their brands. Like they had a big meeting, a big Zoom meeting where, all right, here's what the collectors said they wanted. Here's what we're going to deliver with our 2023 slate of HasLabs. John Kane, you think the Rattler and Wild Weasel will be the next HasLab? I'm thinking it's going to be Thrasher and the Thunder Machine, just because they've kind of made some headway with the Dreadnoks. We've got Zartan, Zarana, we've got Buzzer and Ripper coming. I think we're going to see Torch revealed or at least announced during the rest of this month, and then we would still need Monkey Wrench, and then Thrasher would complete the original core group of Dreadnoks. And of course, you want to get Road Pig, Zanzibar later, but those are the real core. And Nagahide, those are the Dreadnoks for me. So Thrasher and the Thunder Machine makes a lot of sense. Dark Knight 297. Jeff was good, my brother. Doing great, man. How about you? Love your channel. Thank you. Love what Classified is doing. Huge fan of G.I. Joe since '82. Right there with you. This is my dream line coming together very well. Jer Bear, I hope Thunder Machine next. We will break the Hasbro website. Dude, don't talk about breaking websites. I get flashbacks, PTSD of that ridiculousness of MattyCollector.com and their white screen of death. Kenton Studio Hinge. I'm just happy to see that HasLab is able to come down in price, that part, instead of constantly growing. Completely happy with this Dragonfly. They'll only plan to get one. Right there with you. I think that was the smart move here. Can the Legends team compete with this? I don't know if they have to. I feel like if they just deliver what they need to and price it accordingly and affordably, I think that's what we care about. I don't need them to blow away the G.I. Joe Classified series. I don't need the Transformers one to blow away the Marvel Legends. I don't need the Star Wars one, etc. I just need them to do the best job that they can do. And so for Marvel Legends, we're seeing really great figures like Wonder Man, Ant-Man, Yondu, Baron Zemo. We're seeing those kind of figures coming out. And as long as this HasLab delivers on that front, That's all I really care about. Ski Raider, a payment plan setup adds more customers that don't need to be choosing fandoms. Several IPs overlap. Facts. I think that's something that hopefully they will explore, if not this season, then next year. Because I feel like the logistics shouldn't be that crazy if Sideshow Collectibles can make that happen. Anytime you want to buy a Hot Toys and don't want to just drop down $400 on an Iron Man figure, I feel like that's something they could do too. Mr. Cheeseburger, great astute analysis. Thank you again. I really appreciate you. No grading, no drama. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I feel like we can just talk. We're talking about figures, man. We don't need to be drama filled at all. We just have a good time. Aquarius man, Jeff, you know one thing, G.I. Joe team, right for us. They made us happy and excited. Yeah, I mean, I feel like these lines are really easy, and maybe the G.I. Joe team has it easier because the Marvel Legends team, there's 1,000 costumes of Wolverine to go through, and like, oh, look, it's a new Spider-Man costume. Now it's Nightcrawler Spider-Man. So they have to choose between modern and contemporary and old school vintage. Whereas for us, when we think of Torpedo, we're thinking of him in that black and gray, that sweet black and gray outfit. We're not thinking 14 different outfits that they could go with. Oh, no, 80s kids from the 90s are switching sides. It's going to Cobra. Just as long as you don't go Cobra. La 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 la. Jimmo Grillo. My Marvel shirts are targeted twice other size. Dang royalties. That's not good. Gotta get them on those coupon sales for shirts. After Child, seeing this gives me hope for the Giant Man figure. And I really hope that they pay most attention to the EOV failure to fund, because Giant Man doesn't need to be $300. Take him down to 200 and watch how fast he'll sell. I mean, to me, that seems like the biggest no-brainer. Don't make him the same price as Galactus and the Sentinel. Lower that price down. Give us easy repainted figures. Maybe just gloss up a Moon Knight, West Coast Avengers. You got tons of Wasp bodies. You can just repaint her. Secret Wars attire, give her a new hairstyle. Keep it simple. Don't need to make it expensive just to jack up the price, because that's what we did before. Felix Fegans wants to know, where would you display 2? That baby's huge. I mean, people are talking about buying 5. I want to see these displays. I think the benefit of the Dragonfly, though, is if you got a decent ceiling, if you don't have a massive ceiling fan, you can suspend it so you don't have to have it clashing and competing for shelf space, just unless you're not 6'5" or you're going to hit up against it all the time. Roberts, I appreciate your support. Just doing my support. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you both watching the show. Mayflex is the same price no matter the property. Yeah, I mean, right now it is. Mayflex is hurting because as Cyborg, Superman to still get, Steel, Huntress to get, Nightwing is now secured. But geez, so much, because I felt like for so many months it was just this thing of like, okay, they're being pushed back, they're delayed. Now it's like, here's the onslaught of Mayflex figures. B-Spec 25, I'm hoping there will be a poll of some sort for the tier figures, like how we got for the His Tank Tactician. Yeah, I thought that was really fun. I love that collector engagement that they were doing with that. And I love that. So hopefully we'll see that again. Dragonfly is exactly 500 behind the pace of His Tank. 8,213 versus 7,713 after the same amount of elapsed time. Very interesting. Jeff C. bringing the classified Devilfish and Hydro Sled, and eventually the classified Hydrofoil. The Hydrofoil needs to be the only one that should be a HasLab. But I think the Devilfish and Hydro Sled for sure should be retail, should be post exclusives, whatever way. But I feel like those do not need to be behind the HasLab wall. Kidred. I know Walmart has 2 G.I. classified store exclusive. One is part of Night Force, I believe, and anything goes to Walmart, you can never find that everybody wants, like the Purge Trooper. I think their exclusives are the Shadow Tracker and Shooter or Shocker. So Night Force versions for both Shooter and Shockwave. And Shadow Tracker, of course, is going to be the Cobra villain coming through for Walmart. Hopefully we'll find them as easily as we do Retro Lady J and Baroness. Tyrone Wested, hope to see Sunbow colored Wild Bill in the main line. I think that's the way for them to go too, because he could come out with that no problem. People would be happy. Maybe he's a candidate for the retro line. I mean, that one seems to skew a little bit more towards the cartoon look anyway, so he's definitely an option. But of course, if he comes, it's not going to be until next year before we see him. Tier 2, Junkyard. Tier 3, Mutt. Hey, Donut Daddy, we've got them coming. We can't have them. I mean, we got to have Mutt and Junkyard fitting in that cockpit, so we can't have them as tiers. Don't speak that on us. Working parachutes would be kind of cool in Classified line, right? Let's see here. Roberts, ultimately I'm going to pass on the Dragonfly. Price and space are my main factors. It's cool, but I've got original and silver repaints. I'm cherry picking Classified anyway. Does anyone recommend the Tiger Force Duke for 80s kids from the 90s? Let him know what you think. Jeff, tell you something about me. I like G.I. Joe when I was young. My parents didn't make a lot of money back then. I got some, but not a lot of G.I. Joe. I got retro 3.75 inch. Yeah, G.I. Joe was a really affordable line. It was because I was getting Joes back in the day for $2.79. Nowadays, with these retro figures, they're like $15. It's like, well, I'll just get a Classified series because I'm getting more. I'm getting so much more, so many more accessories and all that good stuff. If you can track some down, lots on eBay are a really good way to get vintage figures if you're interested in them. Donut Daddy, maybe tier 2 is Shipwreck's nephew, Jesse, with mind control white eyes. Jesse, no. Yeah, that would be fun. Throwing in all those, the doctor. Stephen Boyd, so getting down with the HasLab at 275 is the only way we're going to get a Classified Doc figure. No. Nobody's saying that he is the other tier. And he very well could not be part of this. It's just, if you take a look at what some of these other HasLabs have been, I think Hasbro's G.I. Joe team was kind of figuring out, like, yeah, we can get away with just doing these generic His Tank repaints or His Driver repaints. But I think with the Dragonfly, they may do more Night Force, Tiger Force variations of characters. That way, they're not annoying people who don't want to pay for the Dragonfly, but they can add some new figures into the line for us who want them to. Kelly Cox, I don't think they'll release Wild Bill as a solo release, the same as Morg that came with Galactus. That's true. I think it really behooves them to keep one figure exclusive to that presentation. But I think Wild Bill's unique enough that they do a different version. Maybe they won't do the Sunbow version. Maybe they do that second gen with the blue and yellow cavalry outfit. Maybe that's a way of like, well, you missed out on the one. But for me, I don't know why you would want Wild Bill without the Dragonfly and vice versa. $7,749 for HasLab. Now that was a few minutes ago. Let's see what it is now. 7,861. This thing is rolling at a rapid rate. Aquarius Man, I didn't collect for years and I started collecting Classified late. I'm learning about G.I. Joe stories. I got DVD series and the movie too. Make sure you watch the movie last. Yeah, there's really great G.I. Joe. Go for the comic book. I feel like if you get that, you're going to be hooked in, and you won't care as much about the cartoon portrayals of the characters, but you'll really get sucked in that way. I can't wait for Agent Helix to be an official figure because I've been a fan of the IDW comics that Larry Hama's done that ended with 30th comic. I'm still trying to fill in the gaps. I'm still trying to figure out who's getting the G.I. Joe license. Maybe that's something they're going to reveal through the rest of this month, because that issue 300, I was like, this is not a complete story. I need the rest. Come on, Larry. What are we doing here? How can Hasbro be so good at making Classified and then make a stinger like the Snake Eyes of Snake Eyes? Christopher, I don't understand how anybody, I feel like all of us could have looked at that script and gone, no, let's start all over again. I feel like a lot of people doing fanfic would have done a better version of a Snake Eyes movie than what we got in the big screen. Because it was a decent movie. It just wasn't a good G.I. Joe movie or a good Snake Eyes movie. Excuse me. And honestly, if you wanted to do a Snake Eyes story, Larry Hama wrote it out perfectly in issue 26 and 27. You don't need to do anything else with a Snake Eyes movie than do that note for note on the big screen. TCP Toys, did you see people reviews of Nightfall Batman and how you feel about that figure? I'm hoping that figure is every bit as awesome as it looks, and I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't seen any other reviews yet. I try to stay away from other people's reviews until I get it in hand and review it, because I don't want their thoughts coloring my thoughts on it before I even get a look at it. Kidred, I want Hasbro to do bring releases of older figures like a new Taskmaster, past releases of Serpent Society members they've done in Batroc the Leaper. I need Batroc on a bigger buck. He's too small. Aquarius Man, Jeff, you know that the fans want retro figures and nothing. I know why, and what do you think? Why no retro G.I. Joe figures? I think because that price point has climbed up so high that it's not really worth it. You've got these figures who are $15, and yeah, the prices jumped to about $10 more for the Classified series, but you're still getting so much more for it. And a lot of the vintage retro figures were just repaints in terms of using the same body over again. Granted, that's what they did back in the day, but those figures were a lot cheaper and going so much more, and not being able to pack as many accessories and gear with them. It's like that Grunt and Stalker figure and the Cobra Trooper were really well done figures, but I'm looking at this $15 figure, and at that same time, I was paying $20 for Classified Series figures. It didn't add up for me. Night Force Airborne, and that will keep people happy. Yeah, but I still want Airborne. I need him sooner rather than later. Jarhead, surprised Doc isn't in the line yet. Hope they do him right. Like I said, we still got 3 more weeks of reveals for them, and I love for him to just be like, bam, surprise, here's Doc. He's up for pre-order next week. He'd be one of those figures that I would get right away and not wait for some deal or anything like that. Mason, do you think they still could have put out that Robbie Reyes figure, because he's one of my favorite New Avengers characters? This is the problem with the HasLab format, because they're kind of locked into, you're never going to get this figure if this doesn't fund. And when you promise that, and then you go back and go, well, here's this figure that you guys didn't fund, it's a real slippery slope. And that's why I think we're going to see the Tiger Force, Night Force variations of figures. Even though I think with G.I. Joe, they could roll the dice and have no problem. But for Marvel Legends, especially a character like Robbie, they maybe could have gone with a more stylized version. So that way they could go, technically, we didn't release this figure, but this head sculpt with the flames going this way as opposed to out like this is a different figure. Jimmy Gorillo, we're all hurting for space, I bet, especially us longtime collectors. It's like, geez. Just like Wild Bill, anybody that gets released with a Dragonfly will get a mainline release in a different deco. You're right, Sherlock. I think that's what they're going to do with it. Ski Raider, yes, sir. I forgot all about the cops. Shame on me. Seriously, I'm ready for some company to bring back cops, because they were so really well done. Bart Sears did the art for the comic book, and I love those figures. They were so much fun. They had a little pop gun firing sound effects that you could put in there, make them act like they're shooting. You could not release that toy now, but those are so cool back then. Also, do you think they could still release the tiers? I think they're gonna they need to line up that next tier pretty soon, because we're really getting close to moving forward with that. Ski Raider, comic book runs, Marvel and IDW, and Sunbow cartoon teaches a lot. Comic is more closer to the essence, but I love the Sunbow too. Being a Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and Arashikage fan, read the comics. You won't go wrong reading the comics. The Sunbow cartoons are fun. It's like they have their own special charm. They're a separate universe, so you can appreciate both of them. If I had to choose one or the other, I'd go comics though. Jean Fridjus, what his tank is, the Cobra, is the Dragonfly to G.I. Joe, or is the Sky Striker the one to get? I just want to know how they rank. All right, so in the comic, they basically kind of set up things for a play pattern. So with the toys, so we had the his tank come out as the Tank Buster to battle to defeat the Mobat, which came out in the first series of Joe's. So then we needed something for the air support, because they had the Fangs, and the Fangs were kind of like, they would basically re-up or one-up the vehicle that the Joe's or Cobra did. So we had the Mobat, we had the His Tank to take that out. Then we had the Fangs for Cobra. We had the Dragonfly to take that out, and also to dive bomb and take out the Hisses. There's a really cool issue where Wild Bill is just lining up trying to knock out as many His Tanks as possible. And the Wolverine was another his tank fighting vehicle that was introduced right around that time as well. The Sky Strikers analogy is the Rattler. And there's an issue 34 where Wild Weasel and Baroness are fighting Ace and Lady J in the air in the dogfight. Really great issue too. So those are more like the play patterns in terms of what vehicle goes against each other. Hopefully that helped you. James Green, what's going on? Robert's Infinite Realms. I always prefer the cartoon over the comic, which is off as I'm a huge comic geek. Just found the cartoon to be more fun. The cartoon is really fun. Like you're not gonna hear me talk trash about any Sunbow edition of G.I. Joe. You want to talk about the DIC one? I've got a big garbage can right here for you. But the Sunbow cartoons were great. I hope you've read that Saturday Morning Adventures from IDW of G.I. Joe. Is the cartoon essentially in a comic book, and they have like a whole quest like they did in the cartoon. So it's really fun. Highly recommend it to everybody who loves the cartoon. Christopher, I would love to have a doc, but my holy grail is the classic style Scarlet. I hope we see her revealed or announced during the rest of this month because she's so overdue for a better version. It's not too early to say Classified 2024 HasLab will be the Dreadnought Thunder Machine. Lenny is foaming at the mouth to make that. I agree with you, Ryan. And I feel like that's going to be really cool. And that had a benefit. Now we kind of have a price range for these. I think the Thunder Machine could be right around that 250 mark because it's a cylinder style vehicle. It doesn't need a lot of other things. We see the blast effects will come with these vehicles on their own. And there's not a lot of extra additional parts that the Thunder Machine needs to have. Of course, it needs to have Thrasher, maybe another Dreadnought or two, but I don't think this is one of those cases where it needs as many bells and whistles like the rest of these. Mr. Cheeseburger, Falcon and CoverGirl overshadowed the totality of the entire Joe brand. Valorverse entire series 1 of 9 figures were all more expensive than G.I. Joe and all broken or plagued with quality control issues. Thank you. I wasn't hearing about the QC issues with the Valorverse. I reference Falcon and CoverGirl just because this line is like 99.9% perfect, and those two figures are the real outliers in terms of what happened. Not because I think this is indicative of what the brand has done as a whole. And seriously, with what are they at now, like 80 figures to have two, and it's really just head sculpts. So if you swap out with better head sculpts, you still got an awesome figure. I don't think that's a bad ratio at all. Christopher, my name rhymes with Rose. Christopher Rose, thank you. Appreciate it. I will try to commit that to memory as we continue on. Thank you. Jeffrey, did you see that awesome lifeline? I got part of a custom figure swap. I'm blown away. I did. It looks really cool. Put your link on Instagram so everybody else can see it if you don't mind. Afton Child. And I really want Hasbro to do Resident Evil and Metal Gear because I want Hunk from the remake design. Venom Snake, solid. Naked Snake, Big Boss, 6-inch figure. I wouldn't mind Hasbro taking a crack at them too. I think they would do really well. Or Mayfex. I think they would be kind of fun with those. Mr. Cheeseburger, hit that like button. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. James Green, I'm glad to see the Dragonfly. It looks great. It does. I'm so excited about it. Donut Daddy, Tears, are you good to get secondary characters that wouldn't sell well at mass retail like General Flag or a variant like Blonde Cover Girl? Yes. Yes, I would 100 times. I'd be so happy and so thrilled to get General Flag. I'd be fine with General Austin. He would be really cool too. Gosh, I'm blanking on my guy's name with the eye patch from issue 53. He'd be fun to see too. But a blonde cover girl would be absolutely perfect for this because we've got classic comic book version, toy version of Cover Girl. And then we get cartoon version of Cover Girl. And I think everyone would be happy because half people wanted the blonde version of her. I'm surprised we didn't get the swappable hair for her, but that would be a really good feature, really good tier, and definitely be on board for General Flag. I'm hoping and assuming you're talking about the older one, not his son that came in later. Dragonfly cockpit interior dashboard should be more colors than light green. It would look cool. I would add green, red, white, and blue. I think the problem with that is it would cost more to work in more colors, so that's why they just did one. Jay Lee, new sub, welcome. But had to pop in. Dragonfly holds a special spot for me is when I watched Was on watch, saw a flashback to a birthday party where I got the OG and my late grandpa built it for me. Choked up, I did. That's cool. For me, I was going to Toys R Us getting my most of my original G.I. Joes with my grandfather, so I know all about the sentimental heartstring pulls that this line has. So I'm right there with you. Ace Kids from the 90s. I'm planning to start reviewing Joe figures. Which one should I buy first? I want to make sure I get a cool one. You'd be hard pressed to not find a cool one. I think you can just go like this and pick a figure. You'll find a cool one. They're really fun figures. If Hasbro lost this license, who would I want to pick it up? I mean, they're not going to lose this license. They own G.I. Joe, so no worries there. I'm curious to see. Well, they're seeing them branch off. Excuse me, letting other license holders like Mezco do figures. That Firefly looks really amazing. Destro looks really good. We're seeing Roadblock and Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow as well. So I think they're the only ones who I'd be interested in seeing what they would do with the line. Che Lee, that memory sold me so easily. Got one. Yeah, it's really cool. Jarhead, funny how G.I. Joe doesn't have any media backing it up, but it's still going strong. I think the nostalgia with G.I. Joe is so massive, and I really think that people have just been able to block out those movies like this isn't even G.I. Joe. They don't exist. And I think when they go to more movie heavy figures, it's like, what are we doing? We've got a great line. And being able to modernize it with the 6-inch format has helped so much. It's not them trying to do more retro 3.75 O-ring figures. It's here's this new take on these figures that you love with even more detail and some modern flourishes, modern tweaks, as you will. Blake, really would love to see how they do a Flash Laser Rifle Trooper, one of my favorites, deluxe with jetpack platform. I want the jetpack to be reserved for Grand Slam because I thought that was a cooler feature for him. But Flash, oh man, I'm hoping he comes with laser beam attachments to his laser rifle and his visor is translucent so we can still see his eyes. I don't want to see it opaque where we can't see anything. And we lift it up, take the helmet off, see his red hair. I really want Flash if you couldn't guess. And I hope they do that cool thing with his pants where they slide over his boots. Yeah, well, I'm all down for that. My first Rattler was a Tiger Rat. Got a classic blue. Nice. Classified terror drone. Do this your doghouse. Yes, especially if your wife finds out how much it costs. Where are we going to fit a terror drone? I don't know. I feel like that's a whole other problem I'll worry about later on, but I still want it. Uncarded reviews. This is a dream come true. I agree. I feel like they did such a great job with this. Aquarius, man, Jeff, I agree with you on payment plans. It will help lots of folks, fans with money financially. I feel like that's the one thing that they could do. And I really think that would move so many more units on these things if they were able to figure out the logistics. That's something I would love to ask these companies like, hey, what's stopping you from doing this? Powertown Wrestling set it up through PayPal and they had their figures where you could do the paying for payment plans installments, which made it a lot easier to get multiple figures of them. So I'd love to see why these larger companies can't do that. Jerry Bear, 4 figures, 25 each. Dragonfly, 175. Not too crazy. Absolutely. Jimmy Gorillo, the team understood market value, didn't want to waste their time or ours, which I appreciate. Let's see here. Christopher Vose, Tyrese, and Josh were so good in Transformers. Like, for real, they were my favorite part of those Transformer movies when they weren't showing up. And I'm like, what's going on? Where's my G.I. Joe team helping? So I feel like they could do a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover really easy because they have the blueprint right there. They were fun in those. Andre Montalongo. I'm sure after everything that must go into producing and getting the Dragonfly out, the $275 price tag is a very fair price. Yeah, I feel like that's one where we don't have a bunch of pitchforks going, this is so expensive for no reason. I feel like most people are going, that's pretty decent. I'm okay with this. And considering we're getting so much in that initial opening tier, for those of you who haven't seen or just want to recap, that's a lot of stuff for that initial opening tier. Like if nothing else gets funded, just getting that is really cool. Michael Padilla, I'm backing at least one of these things. Yes, sir. Can they shrink it and use it for another scale? Uh Probably, but I don't know if they. I was reading a rumor, so put it out there like that. That Hasbro's Joe team has to kind of consider putting money towards classified or to their retro line. And I think as we're seeing, the classified is where it's at for them. If you're selling at this scale, this larger scale, and you're not getting as much buy through, because the Sky Striker was really great, but it didn't fund through all of its tiers compared to the His Tank. So there you go. Kind of amazing that Valiverse, Hasbro, and Mattel all came out with Sergeant Slaughter figures in a very short window. You're right, Christopher. It was interesting because I was not expecting to see Sergeant Slaughter from Hasbro after that Valiverse figure came out, and I was so ecstatic to get him and start throwing around the Cobras and the bats. It was fun. Sharlock, the person that modeled the Dragonfly for Hasbro, has a Night Raven STL on their site right now. It's $850 to have them printed for you, way beyond what I can afford. Me too. That's interesting though. I wonder how much it would be for us, regular people, if Hasbro did it. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. Giant Man has to be 150 to 175 and not paying over that. Yeah, I feel like 200 to be the ceiling for Giant Man. But yeah, I'm really hoping that they don't go too crazy with the price for him. So you're asking, should you buy Spirit or Sergeant Slaughter? Flip a coin. I really like Spirit. I really like Sergeant Slaughter. You won't go wrong with either one. Jay Lee updated 78.15% funded so far. This is crazy. So I guess that means it's over 8,000 now. Oh, just about. It's 7,925. And man, if this thing is like New Year's and it pops off before we get off here, we should just like throw up some champagne or whatever. Champagne too. Mr. Cheeseburger, I'm still buying Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures, but not supporting Marvel Legends HasLab. And by the way, Marvel Legends fans are always disappointed. Yes, it's a line where people are just not happy a lot of time. Your first straight arm figure was Flash. Nice. Yeah, that was. I loved how cool those original Joes were and how they had just little small details that made each one different. And I didn't care that some characters had the same head sculpts like Flash and Short Fuse because they had enough differences in their attire that it didn't matter. And I kept their helmets on anyway. Did I see Avatar 2? I'm going to see it. I think tomorrow it comes on Disney Plus. So I'll watch it then and let you know what I think. Marvel Legends are getting more like Star Wars Black Series, good characters, but no accessories, and that's a major turnoff. Yeah, I've been a little bit disappointed with the lack of accessories because I feel like if you're going to raise the price point, just give us some accessories and more effect pieces. And I don't just need different hand sculpts. I want like alternate portraits, like that Tiger in the West Coast Avengers. Really good secondary portrait. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see more of that with the rest of those figures. Jarhead, need Rock Viper, Laser Viper, and Saw Viper. Yeah, I almost want the Saw Viper to be like on that Roadblock Gung Ho Buck so I can have him be the one that's killing a bunch of Joes and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow go after him. Get our back for killing off Cool Breeze. And Beltran, what's going on? What's your thoughts on the character Super Trooper? Something you want as a classified? I think it would be really fun if they just went completely old school and did the flag points and we could collect 10 flag points and then get a mail away trooper. That would be so cool going super retro with that. I love that kind of feature. And I know they're doing the selfie series. He'd be one that you could use the super trooper with or the steel core. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I need to watch the episode of Friends where Joey and Ross are playing with G.I. Joes. Man, I need to watch that. I forgot that one. There's nothing constructive about the criticism from Marvel Legends fans. Mr. Cheeseburger, I really wish they would because I feel like that helps the companies. And just insulting them and saying this sucks doesn't help. And that's why I hope you guys are noticing that if I have a complaint about something, I'm trying to offer a solution that makes sense, at least to me. And I think a lot of you all. So it's not just, this is so dumb, this is overpriced. I want to give them a reason why. So if they're listening or, just taking notes, they can actually use it as opposed to this thing sucks. Naga High with that board would be sweet. Yes. He was like one of the only good things about Operation Dragonfire. He was really fun. Being a fine figure ass, do you think down the line we'll get an aircraft carrier? No, It's going to be too expensive. I think the best hope for that is with the retro line, and I think that would sell like a billion copies because people like me who didn't get the flag as a little kid would still buy it, even if it's just for their retro size figures. But I don't think we're ever going to get a Classified Series one. Kwame Taylor, I can't think of another Hasbro HasLab that I want to spend big money on after sending on Galactus. What else could they offer that we want? I think that's where Giant Man kind of seems like the one that would make the most sense. And I've been saying if they create a Giant Man buck that's not overly sculpted, they could reuse it for Clint Barton Goliath, Black Goliath, Power Man, Atlas, lots of choices with a taller buck. So assuming they don't try to go, he's $300 just because, I think he's the best option. Just remember about Giant Man. Hasbro gave us a 12-inch Surtur for $50 not too long ago. Another 6 inches isn't worth $100. I wish they would apply that logic to it, and he should have even less detail than Surtur. So we'll see, but I think we know that's not going to happen. Christopher Vose, a 3-foot long night range Raven. I want, and yet so expensive. Yeah. Jimmy G, Jimmo G. Hank, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. Appreciate you. Kwame, oh my gosh, yes. Give me a Cobra la 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 SDCC box set. Yeah, well, I mean, how I feel like for that, I don't want the Royal Guard in there because I had Army build those. So maybe Globulus is a Lux figure where we can have the snake portion and then his pod and then Pythona and then Nemesis Enforcer. I almost feel like they can't work as an exclusive because I want Army build the guards and everything else should be a deluxe. Maybe Cobra Commander turning into Snake with Pythona. That could be the set. Kwame, maybe folks should stop comparing Legends to Classifieds. Folks will always be disappointed when they do that. Probably. I think that might work out a little bit more. Have you tried drama? It might help with the subscribers. You can have an evil twin and call him FML file figure. I mean, I feel like everybody can go with drama. I'm happy to see every one of you subscribers, everybody here in the chat without the drama. I mean, there's so many options for drama. I'm going to keep it positive and just have fun stuff going on. And, you guys know where to find drama if you want it in your lives. Tony Nazero, I hope I said your name correctly. Next HasLab should be the Thunder Machine with Torch, Ripper, and Buzzer as tier figures. Well, we're going to see Ripper and Buzzer presumably over the next 3 weeks because they've been announced as pipelines. So I assume we're going to see some renders of them, maybe even the prototypes. Torch is the only holdout. They could be a 3-pack though, since we haven't announced or they haven't announced how we're going to see them. But I think that's the way we could see those guys without Tears as Thunder Labs. Frustrated Fan Sports Show, thank you so much. Always appreciate your energy and knowledge. It comes from too many years reading over G.I. Joe, watching the cartoons, and buying so many G.I. Joe figures. Thank you. I feel like they can start putting vehicles on post now. People buy them. Yeah, James. I feel like the Vamp needs to be up there soon. The Wolverine's another option too. So, yeah. Matt, what's going on? Happy Monday, Mr. Lyles. This Dragonfly is absolutely amazing in my opinion, and the price is fair. Yep. This makes me excited to think that we're one step closer to a Rattler. Can you imagine? Yes, I am so imagining a Rattler now because, yeah, that's going to be really fun. And I think now they could do it without worrying about it not coming through. Jamelin, what's going on? Hey, Jeff, just FYI, Geek Dad Life posted HasLab backer charts for anyone to reference on their site. Thank you. I will be checking that out. Is the G.I. Joe Classified female Cobra Trooper to pack 2-pack? Is that a pipeliner or, again, a Hasbro Pulse exclusive? A Pulse exclusive. Blake, anybody think they will re-release Duke and Scarlet as retro figures closer to the O-ring colors? I feel like that's passing up big money because I think a lot of people were kind of like, ooh, I don't like this look for Duke, and I definitely don't like this look for Scarlet. I was like, 6-inch G.I. Joe's, bring it on. But now I want a way more classic version of Scarlet. I want that classic version of Duke. And yeah, I mean, Scarlet would be somebody who you could use with the Dragonfly because she was piloting it in the original miniseries. So love to see both of them in retro colors. Shane Shooter, I noticed they didn't bother in the early bird special, especially after Marvel completely botched that gimmick. The early bird doesn't hit, it puts a dark cloud over the rest of the campaign. Yeah, and I think that's why they stopped doing it. Oh man, just imagine the displays people are going to have. Trouble Bubble, Dragonfly, His Tank, Serpentor Chariot. Man, that's gonna be really cool to see what everybody does with them. And I feel like a lot of us are gonna go, I need to save space for the next 5 vehicles that are gonna come too. So that's gonna be a really fun thing to see. Out there choice for a tier. Honda Lou the cowgirl that teamed up with Roadblock. Or Baroness when they were on the ranch and she was dressed as a cowgirl and Wild Bill fell madly in love with her and was like, oh shucks, partner. Maybe that's an option, but I wouldn't be mad at getting Honda Lou. She'd be kind of fun to have, especially as a tier figure. That's a good choice for her. Henry G. I collect a bunch of lines, but if I had to narrow it down to one, it'd be Classified Series without question. Same. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to put out this stuff. Love talking about G.I. Joe, love talking about Marvel Legends and etc. So yeah, all about the fun here. Matt, Classified is in a good spot right now with vehicles. We have the Hiss coming, and this Dragonfly will be dope. I'm thinking they will retail a Vamp and or All Striker over the next 12 to 18 months. Getting the All Striker at retail will be a big win for the line. I think that's something that people might army build or vehicle build, and the Vamp, maybe that might be a little bit much for what they've been doing, but I feel like they should go, look, you see how fast this sold on our website? Don't you guys want in on this Target? You know they do a Tiger Force Vamp, but they got a hold of it. So, excuse me, the possibilities are endless. Jarhead, you know you want an ice cream soldier. You know, I'm not going to say no. There's so many G.I. Joes, and if Ice Cream Soldier happened to show up as one of these reveals this month, I wouldn't go. I'm never buying that figure. Buy it. I just wish they gave him a name. Jeff C. Should the Cobra Fang be retail based or HasLab exclusive? I think that should be retail. I mean, we're gonna get the Trouble Bubble, I assume, from Target with the Python Patrol version. So I think the Fang is no bigger or shouldn't be that much more space in terms of the box on shelves. So I think that should work at retail. And Matt's gonna buy a bunch if it's at retail. Exactly. NOPC 201611535. We need Doc. Time for more African American representation in this line. I think they've done pretty decent. We've got Roadblock / Heavy Duty. We've got Stalker. We're getting Shadow Tracker. That's a crazy out there choice. The Cobra officer for Python Patrol is black as well. I think one of those Cobra Valkyrie officers is black. We're getting a black Televiper. So they've done pretty good in terms of getting army builders and regular name characters. But I just want Doc because Doc is an amazing character. But yeah, I mean, once we get Doc, we're going to have Iceberg next up on the list. I want Iceberg. I mentioned him earlier, but Cool Breeze was in the comic book, but he'd be he had a great design. I'd love to see him. Then there's DJ, there's Stretcher. So there's still a few more Joes left in there in those ranks to do. So, and then there was Burnout, I think it was on the Dreadnought side. So still a few more left. Chris Rodriguez, I hope with the success of this line, we get some reboot continuity of the animated series with a hint of maturation. Yeah, I watched G.I. Joe Resolute. That's kind of a hard one because everyone sounds the same, but I was like, why are we killing off characters? And then why are we still focusing on Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow? But I thought it was pretty decent having a more mature slant to it. I love to see that for G.I. Joe. Mr. Cheeseburger is of the belief that we're not going to see Doc because Super 7 just made him. But I think Doc is really the only overlap at this point. We've gotten Duke, Cobra Bat, Snake Eyes Cobra Commander, Flint, Lady J, Destro, got Baroness coming, Gung Ho, Roadblock, I think, Stalker. I think Doc is the only one that they haven't double dipped for what we've seen already from Hasbro. Hasbro needs to drop Marvel Legends for cops. I wouldn't want them to drop him, but I want them to add them too. Doc is on the way, says Curator. Question just how. Airborne 2, all the favors on the way. Michael Flores, what deca would they release the His Tank crew? Python Patrol? That's kind of funny because it feels like that's something they could have done if they had, started on Python Patrol when the His Tank started. That would have been a cool addition for that. Big Rib, what's up? Great stream. Thanks for dedication and time you get to the collecting community. Thank you for watching and thank you for those kind words. I love talking about G.I. Joe, so this is fun. You guys are hanging out with me, so I'm having a good time. Henry G, Jeff, do you think Hasbro could do a Skyhawk at retail or post exclusive? I think the Skyhawk should also be retail. That's not something that needs to have a really huge retail footprint. I mean, the box should be but so big, and if you take the sleds at the bottom and make those a separate piece that you snap in, that takes up even less space. So I feel like that should be retail too. And Big Rib, don't forget to hit that like. Thank you for all of you who do. 80s Kid from the 90s says Sunbow was great. It absolutely was. Frustrated fan sports show. The thing I hated about the DIC cartoons, I'm surprised you can narrow down to one, was the stupid way they made Roblox speak. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I had on that list of like, I started watching them on YouTube and was like, I cannot do it anymore. I had to tap out after Operation Dragonfire because that was at least cool and they brought Cobra Commander back, but anything after that was no good. No go, no good. No Joe. Topher wants to see a new Battle Beast line in 6-inch scale. Are you talking about the ones where the Mega Marines? I think you're probably talking about something else, but the Mega Marines are kind of fun, wild and random. I think people are upset at some of these Super 7 Joes, so we'll see. I collect a lot of other lines, but G.I. Joe is the only line I try and get everything, at least one of each, but so hard. Too many army builds. Yeah, because I'm like looking at my Cobra Troopers and it's like, how did all these army builders get in here? And same deal with the bats. Now they're introducing really cool variants like the Arctic bat. It's like, okay, how many Crimson Guardsmen am I going to get? A lot. So lots of stuff there. Matt O'Brien. Personally, I disagree with people's take on CoverGirl. I think the classified scope was fantastic, minus her bum arm. When you look at the original over in CoverGirl, it's no comparison. That's true. I think what it is that the face printing on CoverGirl is a little off on way too many figures where it's just the eyes are slightly askew, the lips aren't quite lined up properly. And I think maybe there's something going on with the cheekbones. I think the paint job is really hurting the figure more than the sculpt. I'm sure somebody out there has painted CoverGirl to be a lot better. James Green just got my rock and roll, and it's great, better quality. Awesome. Let's see. Oop, there you go. Rock and roll. And I was thinking about my boy Grunt. I need to figure out some way to do the sleeves, but Grunt would make for a perfect base for a classic version of rock and roll. So there's an option, more reasons to buy more Grunt. 80s Kid from the 90s. I can't believe we stayed on subject for once. There's so much to talk about with this. And the HasLab update as of 844 was 7,997. Let's see here what it is now. I'm sure it's even more. It's at 7,996. So it's almost at 8,000 now. Almost 8,000 is so awesome. Yes, it is. This is wild. NOPC 2016 1535 is a U.S. military veteran. Thank you. I'm so happy that the G.I. Joe is so well loved. Oh, absolutely. I mean, G.I. Joe made everything cool. And it's like, any interest I have in the military and what people do as a young kid was from G.I. Joe. And, as I got older, of course, different appreciation. But man, it was like, wow, these guys are so cool doing this stuff. And G.I. Joe definitely was a big factor now. David has a suggestion for CoverGirl. I'm thinking about replacing CoverGirl's head with an Emma Frost to do a Sunbow version. Any suggestions on which Emma Frost would work or some other Marvel blonde? I don't collect Marvel. I think a lot of people are using the Walgreens exclusive for the blonde CoverGirl. We're using the Emma Frost, so that might work if you can find her. Sharlock replaced CoverGirl with Mara Jade. Yes, and that looks really good. And I agree with him. Beers for everyone, dude. I've got to stick to water, but yeah. Everybody else, this one's for you. What are the chances of them doing a classified Sky Striker? I don't think it's as bad as I thought 8 hours ago, but seeing how this is selling so well, I think we could see that. Now, the only question is what people are going to be upset about if they have to pay for a Sky Striker, because it needs to be a little bit bigger, wider. Maybe not so much bigger, but just wider than the Dragonfly. Mr. Cheeseburger wants the Super Trooper now. Speaking of Mailway, any thoughts on the Valorverse Mailway figure? Darn it, I don't know about that one. Let me know what's going on with that. Mr. Cheeseburger, what's with all the DIC hate? It was not that bad. Okay, it was bad, but it was just yeah. It was that was that point where I was watching, it was like, gosh, I mean, this is my only G.I. Joe fix. And there were so many new characters they introduced in it, and I felt bad because I thought if they were in the Sunbow era, people would love them so much because they had some really cool characters, really great designs. But because they were stuck to the DIC era, people don't think about them as fondly as they do, like Wetsuit, Leatherneck, Barbecue, Airtight, etc. Matt O'Brien, keep it positive. This channel is amazing. Thank you. Don't worry, I will definitely keep it positive. No worries on that end. Dragonfly appears to have a two-tone color scheme, black over olive drab. Why not olive drab? I'm wondering if that was just to make it easier for them to paint. I do think that was an interesting choice to go with some greens and not just keep it to straight black. But let's zoom in a little bit to show exactly what you're talking about. That's well. That's a detail. Yeah, let's see if I can actually find this. There we go. So yeah, so we've got the white over the black here at the rotors, and then we've got this yellow here. And then I think if we look on the back, I think there was some more color there as well. I guess it's just to break it up, just to make it look a little better. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm not upset with it, but I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't mind all green too. 19 Jace. I'd fork over 500 for a Rattler to shoot down the Dragonfly. Then you gotta have your Sky Striker then too. Randall, hello, sir. I just subscribed to the channel after watching with Mega J. My guy, Mega J. Glad I did. Would really love a classified Skyhawk. I love that vehicle. Yes, the Skyhawk should be on their top 5 list now. It should be small enough they can go retail. That the Fang. Those are easy vehicles. I think they should put out maybe Zartan, Swamp Skier. Those are things we should be getting. Hopefully, we'll see some smaller scale vehicles throughout the rest of June. 80s kids from the 90s give us more classic Joes. I will continue to take any and all Joes they give us. Hula Shirt, Roblox, Wakanda 2-pack. Yes. Kwame Taylor. Hi, Joe needs a really good video game that will bring a younger set of fans. Yeah. I was really interested in that new one that they put out a few years back, but then the reviews were like, it's terrible. And that's what they were using the designs originally for the Classified series. So I think that didn't help. But yeah, they need a really great vehicle or just override Fortnite with just Joes, invade them for 2 months and just have nothing but cool Joes. I think that would help. Jamin Lynn, we need a $50 to $60 water moccasin soon, especially since that Copperhead looks so great. But yeah, I would be all about a Cobra moccasin. I think that Fortnite boat that people are now finding at Ollie's for $17 is a decent stand-in, but I still need my official one from Hasbro. Ooh, Ryan Daly. The final tier should be the Ghost World War I pilot from the episode of the Phantom Brigade. The Phantom Brigade was fun. I just watched that not that long ago, so that would be fun. Imagine a Starscream met Cobra Commander. Interesting. I wonder if that's possible. Yes, we need the moccasin. I agree. Yep. Love that episode. Rocket's Red Glare had it on VHS tape solories. Right. Because back in the day, you could get 2 episodes. You'd buy the tape for $40. Here's 2 episodes. But it was so cool to be able to do that with them. But yeah. And then maybe that 2-pack would come with a red rocket to put on top of the burger show. Marcio, Eduardo, Santos, you. In Brazil, everyone loves G.I. Joe. Awesome. We love G.I. Joe here too, my friend. David agreed, would love to see a mature version of either series or animated movie. They would do far better than live action. The crazy thing is that G.I. Joe should be the easiest property of all of them to make into a really good series. I can imagine that on Amazon, Hulu, whatever, HBO Max. It should be really easy. Just take a little bit of the fun elements from the cartoon. Don't go overly serious. I feel like that was a problem with G.I. Joe Retaliation. They were so close to just going all the way in to do a real G.I. Joe movie, but they kept going, let's pull it back. And I feel like if they had just gone all the way and just fully embrace everything that's cool and great about G.I. Joe, they would have had no problem. Kelly, did you collect G.I. Joe Renegades and did you collect any of the figures? Did I watch Renegades and did I collect any of the figures? I do. My default 3.75 roadblock right now is the roadblock from that series. I like when they had different Joes show up, so that was fun. I never really like watched every episode, so I should probably go back and check it out because that would be fun to do now. MC, good to see a positive channel and outlook on the hobby of collecting. Keep it up. Thank you. I definitely will because it's more fun to do it that way. Sci-Fi George, got to get Alpine to get Bazooka, to go with Bazooka. They're the Ovid and Costello of the group. Absolutely. And it would be so cool if he comes with his own G.I. Joe card. Never release home without it. At 452 Canadian, that's my birthday gift to me. Billionaire, I hope you will get your birthday gift with no problem. Oh, okay. I'll try to post it back in the chat. Thanks for letting me know. Matt O'Brien, I hope this Dragonfly HasLab hits all the tiers. No question. The hiss hit 26,000. So if it just does that, it'll be no problem. Every classified HasLab that fully funds is a great look for the line. It gives the team more room to push for more large projects. So let's do our 914 update. Assuming we're over 8,000, 8,019 backers now. So it's almost done. It's crazy. Joe's likely going to be 3 for 3 with HasLabs. I think we might be done with most of these tiers by the end of the week at this rate. Jay Winter, I'm doing good, brother. You are doing well also. Yeah, rock and roll is pretty dope. Yes. Bro, is so hyped I had to call my wife about it. Can't wait. That is so awesome. My wife would be like, yeah, okay. Don't you have a helicopter? I'm like, yeah, I do, but this is so cool. Blake, let's keep this live going until the Dragonfly is back. That may be 10 more minutes. So yeah, let's see. The Skyhawk should come with a mechanic if it has to come with a figure. That way anyone can fly. I feel like there are vehicles like the Skyhawk that don't need a driver. So the Televiper with the trouble bubble was fine because they gave us options, but I feel like they could really succeed and get more stuff at retail without putting figures in there. Because you're gonna figure now that the trouble bubble and the Televiper set was about 55. So if you take the Televiper out, that's a $30 vehicle. Excuse me. I think that's a great price point for vehicles at retail. So I hope that they consider more things like that, like the Hydro Sled, the Devilfish. We don't need figures. Just give us a great vehicle. 8K, Matt O'Brien. Ski Raider, 8,000 in PLC. And we just hit the 8,000. I'm behind from the comments, but yeah, it's really exciting. The Sky Striker be way too big. This is what ceilings are for. We'll put them up there and let them hang. 80s kids from the 90s wants that too. Henry J, am I the only one who wants the Tripwire figure? No. I think Tripwire is on this shirt, right? No, yes, I think he was. Anyway, Tripwire is coming. He is one of the announced pipeline figures. If nothing else, we're going to see a render of him. So you and I are both going to be excited because Tripwire is coming. Skew Raider also confirmed that for me. I want a Shockwave. He is coming too. He is rumored, but you know, it's at this point where every rumored figure came through. So I think you can chalk it up that he's coming as well. Crazy man, Jeff, I have lots to collect in my life. I like Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters. So of what you're collecting, I have not gone the route of Thundercats yet. I want to. I don't know if it's too late to get into it. If so, let me know which direction to go with them because I know got some from Mattel, got some from Super 7. So yeah, it's a bunch. Chuckles. He's supposedly the Comic-Con exclusive, so I'm looking forward to him. I'm not quite sure if I want him Roblox size so he can throw missiles at his tanks, or if I want him just regular size so he can be an actual undercover agent. Havoc would be my choice. Yeah, Havoc would be an awesome one. Jamelin Parks. There's a new game in the works. That's the Snake Eyes focused one, and I think I read that they're taking cues from the comic, focusing on Snake Eyes. So if so, that should be good. I kind of want to see more Joes, though. I don't necessarily like when they get too tunnel vision focused on Snake Eyes. The great part about G.I. Joe is the variety of the characters, and when they go too far in ninja mode, it's not quite as much fun. Mr. Cheeseburger, Salvo, Spearhead, Tracker, Gridiron, Cesspool, Metalhead, Frag Viper, Echo Vipers, Range Viper, Spacesuit Hawk. Great characters introduced. Yeah, exactly. And I think they would make for amazing classified series figures. And I think then we'll start to see people really appreciate how good they were. Moccasin will be fire. Drop that pre-order and announce it this month or no later than San Diego Comic-Con. Agreed. Facts. Absolutely. Big Rib. I didn't go in on the his tank because I said I don't need vehicles, only figures. Laughing out loud with this Dragonfly, my willpower has been broken. Yeah, I'm really curious because I'm hoping that Hasbro will eventually figure out a way to get his tanks because I think newcomers to the line are going to go, well, what about the his tank? I want another version. But the his has so many different variations that I think they can still be okay with the people who bought the original and still bring his tanks for people who want another version. Amazing Carol. Okay, I couldn't resist anymore and just added Outback, Selkirk, and Ricardo too. Yeah, don't feel bad. Ashley Tiers 2 and 3 will be Tiger Force Ripcord and Crimson. Yeah, exactly. He's infiltrating the team just so he can rock the Crimson attire. What are your thoughts on G.I. Joe Resolute? Love that series. It's pretty good. I just think that if they had a budget to get more voice actors, it would have been better. I like that Flint didn't get killed. But I felt like they could have had a little bit more action and less an extended period of time focusing on Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Sean, thank you so much. Fantastic channel. Keep it up. How about Sergeant Slaughter's Triple Tier Warthog AIFV as a store exclusive? So I was just checking out the Warthog again today, and I think that would be a really, really fun vehicle to see in this classified line. I'm curious to see if that's something that could work at retail because it's kind of a squat vehicle, and I'm wondering if that's something that could work just because it doesn't require so much stuff. Let's take a look for everybody who doesn't know what the Warthog looks like. There we go. Let's pull down. So it's really big. It's got a little compartment there. You can put 3 Joes in there. So that's fun. And we've got 2 gunners. We've got Sergeant Slaughter. So there's another variant of Sergeant Slaughter if you wanted. I don't think it has to be too big and wide, but I think this is kind of Hasbro, his tank, HasLab exclusive set. So I think that's probably more the direction they'd go with that. Jeff, why don't Hasbro listen to the fans what we want and make the fans community happy? I think it's a balancing act for them in terms of going over what we want and delivering that, making it affordable. Because I think for us, we're like, do this, do that, and have no concept of how much these things cost to implement. But I think what we're seeing with the Classified Series line, they understand what we want and are delivering it. I think Marvel Legends is pretty close to doing that because for the most part, with these releases so far in 2023, and in some of the back half of 2022, they've been knocking out some really strong, really well done figures. Like they fixed Tigra, who I just thought this is gonna have to suck it up and have this really lame version. They fixed her. Then Hank Pym figure I was really clamoring for. If I get my green and yellow Banshee, you won't hear me say a bad thing about Hasbro for the rest of the year. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. The problem is they cancel really good 80s properties way too early. Remember the Thundercats new show? Yes. Yeah. I think they want these crazy ratings that they're not going to get like they were back in the day. But I think as long as properties have more time to get a fan following, people go, hey, it wasn't canceled after the first season. Stick with it. People get into it. Like that Masters of the Universe 2000 series was so good. I kind of want to see more stuff like that. Kelly, I'm trying to collect the Renegades figures, but eBay prices are wow. Yeah, that's the thing because vintage collectors are like, nope, not selling these. And if you want it, you're going to pay a whole lot of money for it. Dark Knight 297. We need a retro card, classified Duke, Scarlet, and Flint. Yes. Like what they did with Destro, Gung Ho, Lady J, Storm Shadow, and Zartan. You know I'm going to be right there anytime somebody wants a retro version of Flint. I was really sizing up that Tiger Force Wakanda because he had the black shirt, rolled up sleeves. And I was like, well, geez, this is Flint right here. But I'm thinking Hasbro is going to do it maybe with a different head sculpt. Mr. T hanging from the Dragonfly skids will look pretty dope. Yes, I'm going to put in my custom version of Mr. T, have him hanging from the Dragonfly skids, getting into battle, getting into action. Very cool. But it would help with the Joe Army building. I think you're talking about the vehicle drivers. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to complain about it, but I think to make it cheaper, it might be a little easier for us. Give me oh, yeah. I really thought I had Triple R in the shirt. I don't know why it's bothering me so much now to actually see if he is here. But I thought I had him. I'm going to be up way too late trying to figure this out. Anyway, Afton Child, I have a question. You're going to review the West Coast Avengers pack coming out. Yes. I'm still not quite moving over to doing video reviews of figures. So I write my reviews. I'm still old school and do tons of photos over on the main site, Lyle's Movie Files. So let me just show you my last one. It's been a little second here since I did a figure review. I was backlogged for the longest, but so here are my latest figure reviews that I've done lately. Clone Wars Dark Maul, really fun figure. Wonder Man, awesome. And then the Silverhawks figures, Ricky Stocks, and a bunch of them. So I'm catching up on a lot of figures that I have not done in a while because of transplant, but getting there. And I will definitely be reviewing this because I want Hank and I want that new Tigra. So I'm excited about getting those. Have you seen the channel, the guy that only collects Jabba the Hutt stuff? Is that a big collection? I'm curious because I feel like they don't do as much Jabba stuff as they could. Mason, I wish they had limited quantities on Hasbro Pulse like they do with the Joes for store exclusives. Like which one? Matt O'Brien, I'd love to see a classified whale, rattler, tomahawk. I'm going to go for broke. I'd love to see a terror drone down the road, even if it's big enough for me to live in. Yeah. I've seen the opportunities that they could do for a scale version of that. And it's kind of wild. We get all the vehicles for Joe's. Where's our Black Series figures? And they've done really cool Black Series vehicles. That Snow Speeder, the Land Speeder, it's like, these are great. Let's get more. Warthog is awesome. Love that growing up. Yeah, it is. Absolutely love G.I. Joe Resolute and that take on the cartoon. Would enjoy some Resolute figures and Classified. Yeah, they wouldn't be bad. I think those designs are, that's the thing about Joe's. They have so many refreshed looks for them that, once they start going through all these classic looks, then they could go to those other alternate takes, maybe even do the movie versions of them. Kwame, Dreadnought, Swamp Skiers. Yes, we should get those for sure. 80s kids from the 90s can't find Resolute on Apple TV. Is there somewhere you can watch it? I wonder how long they had the rights to Sergeant Slaughter. I feel like they've been pretty good about cranking out stuff, so I assume we'll get another version or two of Sergeant Slaughter. I think the Warthog version would be a really good one to get. Doc Avenger. Yeah, like Young Justice. Man, they canceled that way too soon. Yeah, because then when they brought it back, it didn't quite have the same whatever that made the first two seasons of Young Justice so special. Melvin Morin. What's up, Gunner? How you doing? Nice to see you in the building, brother. T's right by the setup. Love it. Absolutely. He is amazing. Great figure. Really awesome custom deal here, joining the Joe squad. Pity the fool who messes with T. You're absolutely right, Blake. I mean, he seems like somebody, I almost wish we get the rest of the A team just throwing in here. They kind of teased us back when they were bringing back the 25th anniversary Joes. We got that Matt Tracker mass figure. It's like, where's the rest of them? But yeah, I'd love to see the A team throwing up in here. We fans sometimes forget that these large companies have a lot of red tape to sort through. Marvel and Star Wars have to answer to Disney and coordinate to movies and their overall agenda. Yeah, that's true. By the way, that shirt is fire. Thank you. I love getting all these G.I. Joe shirts. It's really cool. And because I'm doing so many more G.I. Joe episodes, I'm going to have to keep buying more G.I. Joe shirts because, wow, we need them. Ryan, the whale would be the size of a baby crib. Maybe a really small baby. Like, I just wanted the whale. I never got that as a kid. And that's one of those, I needed that vehicle as a kid. And so, so I missed out on the two big water ones. I missed the whale. I missed the aircraft carrier. I did get the tactical battle platform, but it was like, where's the whale to pull up next to it? Classified scale flag would have to come with a mattress for all of us to sleep on when we get kicked out of the bedroom. Absolutely. In the doghouse where we put our terror drum. Kelly, thanks for hanging out with us. Yo, Joe. Do you feel like the Mezco Fireflies worth picking up? I think the figure looks really cool. I think they packed a ton of stuff into it. So if you're in the market for a Mezco figure, I think this is a really, really good figure. I'm pulling up for everybody else who hadn't seen it. I think this is a really well done figure and definitely something. If you're into the Mezco style, they didn't really change up too much of Firefly, but lots of accessories, really great head sculpts. You see these action shots, crazed looking Firefly. I think this is a really fantastic looking figure. Like I said, Has so many accessories, so much stuff. I mean, it's just, you can't go wrong with this figure. And they're putting them out at a slower rate, so you don't have to buy a bunch of them at once. It's 112. You can get it from Entertainment Earth. I'll put the pre-order link on here so you guys can check it out. It's so cool, Jeff. Did you make that custom? No, one of the members in the chat did. Charlock, don't get me started on 1 6" mask line. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I need a 6" mask because I need the vehicles. That is one I absolutely need, all the vehicles. And those will be expensive. And especially when they start working in the transformation, I'm okay with really good 3.75" for mask. Keith, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Zombie 42, 420, 80. Woo! First live video of yours. Let me do that woo again. Woo! Throw the 4 horsemen there. Afton Child, I want a 2-pack of Moon Knight and Tigra from Chad McKay's Moon Knight comic run. I love his Moon Knight comic run and hope so he keeps doing Moon Knight. I want to read that because I haven't heard about that one. Marvel's been scaring me off with too much stuff. So if you recommend it, I'll check it out. Matt, Jeff, did you mention your predictions for the remaining unlockable tiers? I'm thinking Wild Bill repaint and Airborne. I think the common thought here is a Night Force version of maybe Airborne, maybe some off color, like a Tiger Force take on these guys so people who want these versions at retail can get them. I still feel like Hasbro and the G.I. Joe Classified series won't have a problem with these getting funded. Right now it's at 80.79, so I mean it could get there by the time we're done at this rate. Other properties I'd love to see: Galaxy Rangers, that would be fun, and Humanoids, Mighty Max, Mummies Alive, Swat Cats, Hanna-Barbera's Hero Stuff, and Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys. That last one I don't know. Andre, I miss back in the mid 2000s when Hot Topic used to sell a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. Yeah, them Suncoast, FYE, exactly. Hot Topic ain't what it used to be. No. 80s kids from the 90s, give us a classified Jeep. Yes, sir. Frustrated Fan Sports Show. Mr. T is one of mine. He has a lot of fun to put together. Yes, and really great to have together here. Let me see and make sure that I have made sure. All right, about to wind this down, about to clock in at 2.5 hours. So let's see. Keith Feinstein, do you think they're going to add any tiers that aren't additional figures, add-ons for the chopper? I think with this original reveal, I think they've got every tier or every add-on for the helicopter, for the Dragonfly that I want. I think that was really, really cool of them to do. That way we don't have to worry about like, oh man, are we going to get some more missile effects? No, we got them covered. We got missiles. We got some exhaust points here, more missiles, more fire effects, little small missiles here that go into the side compartment, I think. Another Gatling gun here. Lots of tier points that you would ordinarily think would be tiers, but they included right from jump. So I think that was awesome. Did y'all talk about the box designs for the Dragonfly? Ugh. You know, in my excitement, I don't know if I've seen the box design for it. Let's see. Did they put that out yet? No, I guess they haven't because with the His Tank, they didn't show that to us until way later in the process. So yeah. Sharlock, how much did you charge for that? Sharlock, where does one get customs by you? Hopefully Sharlock will be able to communicate with you all how to get them. I think so, but check. I'll have the replay up soon. Matt O'Brien, who are the top 3 Joes and top 3 Cobra figures you want to hear name drops of? Personally, I'd say Alpine, Dalton, and Lifeline for Joes, Cesspool, Frag Vipers, and Iron Grenadiers for Cobra. All right, so let's see. For the Joes, Alpine, Doc, I thought Flash was mentioned. If not Flash, then Flash. If he was already mentioned. Let's see. I'm trying to go through all the different realms so I don't just have one. Footloose. Oh no, Airtight. That's the one I want because Airtight has a really bright colored outfit that I think would be fun. For the Cobras, Xandar to complete the original trilogy or the original twins of the Dreadnoks. Then Torch, since he hasn't been mentioned. And for Cobra, the last one, how about Raptor? He was ridiculous with his Falcon outfit, but I think he'd be a really fun figure. I think they'd have a really good time with it. James, thank you for hanging out. You bet we'll be back here at 8:05 on the live on Thursday. I'm really excited to play the Metal Gear remake and remastered. I love Metal Gear. Finally playing Metal Gear game. It's been 9 years. Yeah, often they were fun games. Keith, it's all good, man. We were having a good time. So there's a lot of stuff you can check out later. How many classified figures in the 82 cartoon? Right now, they're not all in their 82 looks. It's Stalker, Breaker, Snake Eyes, did I say Scarlet, Rock and Roll, and those 5. And then Gung Ho, Torpedo, Snow Job, coming, Cover Girl, Tripwire coming, and Duke, since they put Duke in instead of Hawk. Matt O'Brien, thanks for the awesome stream and answering all the questions. Thank you for asking questions. That keeps the thing rolling. Sherlock, I need a Tunnel Rat pre-order. Throwing an in-hand example of one of the live streams, and I'll be very happy. I think we are going to see him because we've seen the render of him already. So I put big money on us seeing Tunnel Rat coming through. Titus, I'm wrapping up, but I'm still going for right now, just for a little bit longer. Zombie, Alpine Wetsuit. Yep. I'd love to see an Nemesis Enforcer. Doc Avenger, I think he would be a really fun figure, and I think they would knock him so far out. Andre, I want a Wild Weasel 6-inch figure that looks more like a TIE Fighter pilot. It's tier 4. Maybe that'll happen. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for hanging. Let's do one final look, and let's see where these numbers are with our our G.I. Joe HasLab Dragonfly, and see where it is in terms of the funding right now before I wrap this thing up. So right now it is at 8,109 backers. So, not too bad. I think by the time we wake up tomorrow, it will have been fully funded. So let's see where that goes. Cobra Law for real. Alpine, yes. It is here from the 90s. Yo, Joe. Oh, yeah. I wish they put more army builders up for Marvel Legend figures. Aftershot, thank you. I really appreciate it. I really love your videos, and this is my first live on your channel. We'll be back here at 8:05 on Thursdays for another one, so it'll be fun. Ski Raider, another awesome stream. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I knew this was going to be a long one because I was so hyped up about this and cannot wait to see where this bad boy goes in the next few days, next few weeks. The other cheers we're going to see. Jay Winter, I hope this HasLab has taught Hasbro a lesson on giving the public what they want at a decent price point. I think that's what we need to see. So glad I could hop on for this one. Sherlock, thank you for hanging out. And it is here from the 90s. Hit the like button, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. I'll be back Thursday at 8:05 TNT TBS time. Till then, this episode allows figure files has been filed.